It's no fun to be miscast. The times I've done parts that I don't feel, in retrospect, I was great for. It's a very bad feeling. Matthew Broderick. Ladies and gentlemen, and variations thereupon, this is Modern Escapism. Greetings and salutations. My name is Stig.
Whoa. Fuck off. Greetings and salutations. My name is Oodles, and this is Modern Escapism. And today, I am joined by... It went a lot better in my head.
I've been miscast.
You have been miscast. Today, we are joined by our editor and ear for sound of the show. It's Stig.
Oh, yeah. I'm the editor now. But
The
only
social
for
media liaison. Gadget.
I am the captain now.
A large, bald, white man with more raw sex appeal than Casanova. It's Candy Machine.
Hello.
And finally, the token female component to any podcast, it's Biggie.
Hey.
See what I did there?
I do indeed. Although I
Always got
did
fun.
have to put in that little only on the specials in there just in case Gadget was like, fine, you can be editor if you want.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah.
I can have my Mondays back.
So without further ado, we're going to talk to you about a little thing called Patreon.
So if you head on over to patreon.com/modern escapism, you will see the excellent tiers that we are putting out for you and what you can get. On there we have Modern Escapees, that's £5 a month. With that you get a extended version of this episode every week, as well as at least one special a month. But right now you are getting specials galore, as we are currently doing our Loki spoiler cast specials, and soon to come is Too Faff, Too Furious, where Gadget and Biggie will be watching the Fast and Furious saga for the first time and discussing it. And I am very much looking forward to hearing that.
It's all about family,
Oh,
baby.
life is just regret right now.
I genuinely
I haven't even
think
started watching them.
a few of them you're going to love them.
Yeah, some of them are
few
really,
of them.
Some of them are really
Out of
good.
the 10.
Some of them are shit, and then some are middle of the ground. So
Yeah.
you can also, if you are just into your Dungeons and Dragons, we do a Dungeons and Dragons play podcast. It's called Do Dragons Dream of Scorched Sheep, and that is £5 a month, and you will get an ad-free version of that. You'll get early access to Do Dragons Dream of Scorched Sheep, access to battle maps, artwork, and any original music we create, and you can suggest NPC names and items for Gadget to throw at the rest of us.
And you will throw them.
Yes.
Literally.
Actually, throw. And if you're feeling very generous and flush, £7.50 is the biggie bundle, and that gets you both Modern Escapees and Scorched Sheep.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Beautiful intro. Beautiful patron segment. Thank you very much, Steve.
For our beautiful listeners.
Absolutely. So, Gadget, what have you been up to this week?
Well, it's been a TV heavy week, actually.
Same.
Surprisingly enough. Although I will say today, Monster Hunter Stories 2 turned up the actual full version of the game, and I'm very much enjoying that.
Yes.
It's incredible. But I am literally about 2 hours beyond where the demo ends, so I'm not going. I'll talk about that when I've gotten a decent amount into, like, properly into it.
Another 100 hours.
I watch. Yeah. Literally 25 minutes ago at the time of recording, I finished watching WandaVision all the way through, binged it
So
in 3 evenings. My fucking God! How
Brilliant,
good is
isn't
that?
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about it because, spoilers for certain parts of the listeners, and we've already talked about it before, but oh my fucking God, that was good.
Welcome to the
literally
party,
I loved
bird.
it.
Yeah, it's literally one of the cleverest, most inventive TV shows I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how it is completely separate to the MCU, how it connects to the MCU, all the little Easter eggs, like, whether they're Marvel related or not. Like, in one of the episodes, she's walking past the cinema and you see Tannhauser Gate written across the cinema. And I saw that and went, Blade Runner.
Yep.
Yeah. But, it's just such a nerdy show. And it's not a spoiler to say, but I think Catherine Hahn steals the whole show.
Yeah.
She does in everything she's in.
I mean, I
She
know
is
that, but
great.
my God. But, yeah, it just also just proves how good actors Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen are. Just the fact that they can ape so many different styles of TV actor all the way through. And also, while I'm freewheeling on this, the production design so good.
It's impeccable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you haven't watched it, don't be a dickhead like me. Watch it.
What I'll just
I
say
must get
quickly
round
on Bettany and Olsen is it turned to, they made me care about two characters I really wasn't that bothered about.
Yeah, no, I agree with that because like Wanda especially had been kind of underused in the MCU up to that point.
She had no choice. They had contractual agreements.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, but she'd been underused, and it's like you got to see a lot of her. And Vision, I mean, Vision it was just kind of because of the nature of his character. I guess he was just kind of a bit bland throughout a lot of the.
He was
MCU
only
stuff.
overpowered for half an hour in his run.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I'm not going to go too far into that, but yeah, fucking watch it. It's great. And so I'll be starting Loki next week.
Yeah, good.
finally.
Good plan. Because
There's
the
a great
one in
podcast
between
you can listen to after each episode.
there is.
So I've heard.
Yeah, the one in between Winter Soldier, Falcon and Winter Soldier, it's not linked to anything. It's its own thing. So
I was going to say that's more just like general MCU Avengers stuff rather
it's
than
a bit.
full
It's a
MCU,
bit
isn't it?
phase one-y. If I were putting it anywhere, it's good.
Okay, well,
It's really good, but
okay, yeah, well, I'll go straight into Loki then.
yeah.
But the main thing I wanted to talk about was the new Resident Evil anime, Infinite Darkness.
Uh-oh. Guess what? We've got a clash as well.
Oh dear. Well, yeah. Wow, that was certainly something.
Yep.
I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing. Actually, no, it was a bad thing. So, for those uninitiated, the Resident Evil franchise has had two kind of cinema spin-offs, which is the one is the Paul W.S. Anderson films, which we've ranted about frequently, which are so loosely connected to it, they're not even connected to it. But they also had the Japanese anime films, which are very connected to the main plot line and all the lore. There's been three of them at this point: Damnation, Vendetta, and
Degeneration.
Degeneration, that was it.
Generation X.
And yeah, they nice. They kind of they're more spectacle movies, not really that.
They're just
scary
long
or anything
CGI
like that.
films, aren't they?
Yeah, so it was announced a couple of years ago that they were doing an anime series for Netflix, and they've basically done what they did with Castlevania, where they've done a movie and split it into 4 parts, about 25 minutes long. This one follows Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield as they in the year 2006. So it's between 4 and 5, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
'Cause
just
5
after
is
4.
2007.
So it's the year after
Yeah.
4. So the president is still in office from
Yes.
4. And yeah, not long after 4.
Yeah, not long after 4.
He still has this one of the jackets that he wears in there.
Yeah. And yeah, things happen, and it's quite indescribable because the thing is, the story makes no fucking sense whatsoever.
No.
And not in the normal Resident Evil doesn't make any sense way, as it's just badly written. It involves okay, so there's two sides to the story, as there always are when Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield are put together. Unfortunately, they don't use Claire Redfield. She is knocked down to the role of annoying woman. That's literally her only role in this film.
I love Claire. Claire's one of the best.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. Claire is really good in the games and in the various kind of other things that that they put out with her in. She's not good in this, and they underuse her. They give her the character design from Revelations 2, which I like. That was a nice nod. Voice actor from Resident Evil 2 Remake. But they do fuck all with her until the point where she can get kidnapped, and then she's in a little bit of peril, which she gets herself out of, and then she does fuck all after that. Most of the story follows Leon and these soldiers. It's not Umbrella anymore. It's going to Tricell, which is the Resident Evil 5 evil corporation. It's globe hopping, but in a really stupid way because there's no context to them. Actually, like you see them kind of have a bit of dialogue, and then all of a sudden they're in China, for instance. Yep. Nothing to say they're going to travel there. No orders to say go here, go to this place. No, they just appear in China, or coming towards the end of it, they get back from China to find the secret, underground base, which is a Resident Evil staple. Nothing to say how they get into it. They just wander in the door.
That's how I get into bases.
Yeah, but,
Sounds like Godzilla versus Kong, where they got into
It's got a lot of that.
when they just turned up at a base.
Yeah. The one thing that I'll take away from this film, before I get into the major complaints about it, is it's very aimed at China, like the Chinese audience.
Yeah, including a new character called Shen Mei.
Yeah. There is a lot of casting the Americans as the baddies.
Yep.
Which is quite unusual for a Resident Evil game. For a Resident Evil property, rather. They don't do that a lot. So this was definitely like, I'm watching and thinking, yeah, this is aimed at the Asian market rather than the European or the American market.
The Americans are baddies.
We don't get into politics here.
It's about time, though, because normally it's the bloody Brits that are the
bloody... we normally get it. She is usually also the bad guys.
The animation varies from really fucking good to photorealistic to 2002 video game.
Yeah, there's some moments where it's like, oh my god, there's like ray tracing on this, and then there's some moments like, oh, Dreamcast.
There are sequences like for instance, that there's a sequence early on where Claire's watching the news, and there's kind of two people talking back on each other. They look like PS2 MPC models. Ooh. Like they're that low detail when she's really high detail watching it. I caught one scene, Oodles, you know when they're in China and they go into the apartment building.
Yeah.
When they walk across the landing, you can see they're not actually touching the floor. They're walking kind of floating about 2 inches above the floor.
It was the same in the White House scene on the first episode. Leon and Jason, the new guy, they were just hovering over the marble. So.
Yeah, lots of stuff like that.
And only certain characters are lip synced.
Well, that's the thing. It's dodgy lip sync because the characters are motion captured, which sometimes you'll see there's a moment with Shen walking and you think she's not motion captured, she's rigged like a PS2 model, just kind of walking dodgy. But yeah, the facial capture, some of it syncs to the English, some of it doesn't. It's like they've done a half job dubbing it. It's not good. Don't watch it. Really don't watch it. And the thing that I like the other animated films like Vendetta and stuff like that. Like Vendetta was terrible, but it was amazing because it was so over the top. Like there's a whole sequence in Vendetta with Chris and Leon doing gun fu in a corridor with infinite ammo guns and infinite amounts of enemies coming at them. It's so stupid. This doesn't have any of that stupid spectacle. The closest it gets is in the second episode, and I'm going to warn you, Stig, you shouldn't watch it because it's a thing with mutant rats.
Yeah, zombie rats.
Of them. Yeah. But yeah, that's about it. Like even like kind of the big monster thing is disappointing.
It is.
So yeah, don't watch it because Leon does loads of stuff that's outside of his character. Basically, it makes Leon into a dickhead and treats Claire as an accessory. So
what about the moment where Leon's chatting Shen up? Like that's not Leon. I almost thought you were. I thought you were gay, me.
Well, what about the moment where Leon's chatting up fucking Claire?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He does that as well. Like I'm saying, it's all this stuff out of his character.
I never saw him as a sexual person. I just never thought you were interested.
It's a floppy hair boy band type.
Yeah.
Does he still have his beautiful floppy hair though?
Oh yeah,
he does. He does have his beautiful floppy hair. It's the Resident Evil 4 beautiful floppy
based hair. On imminent toast.
Yes, but yeah, don't watch it. It's like an hour. It's like 2 hours of your life you won't get back. It's not good in the slightest.
So you said the animation's really patchy. Is it deliberately a different style every episode, or is it just inconsistent?
No, it's just inconsistent. Like it's inconsistent between scenes, not between episodes. Right. And it's going for hyperrealism. Like there are some moments that there's quite a few moments where you get like close-ups on Leon thinking, and it looks photorealistic. Yeah, like you got all the pores in his face. You've got like kind of the stubble growing in because he's not shaved for a couple of days. That stuff is really good. But then it's when you get kind of wider shots and the characters are kind of gliding across the floor, or like their eyes don't focus on objects properly, or they're looking in weird directions. There's a moment near the end where like kind of Leon's waving off the president. The president's going up into Air Force One, and like Leon's waving him off from the tarmac, and the president waves looking up. Like yeah, it's not even like weird. Consistent in the direction that he's looking. So yeah, just really don't.
Excellent. So I'm going to take over on this because I also watched Resident Evil Infinite Darkness, and I agree with you. I'm glad. I thought I was the only person because it's only just come out, hasn't it?
But it's been getting rave reviews. Like I watched it because I saw Rock Paper Shotgun tweeting about it, saying, "Oh my god, this is the most amazing thing ever." I was like, "Oh, so they've actually done something good for once."
I thought I was going to come out here to be the outlier, but no. Thankfully, it's just the only bit I really liked was episode 2 on the submarine. That's the only bit, and that's when the least amount of dialogue in that episode, and it's just Leon doing his own Leon thing on his own. That's what I prefer, Leon.
Yeah, just sitting smouldering in the corner, not doing much.
Gorgeous. I did like Jason as a new character. Shen Mei seemed to be a bit of a
I think what this needed either cutting 2 characters out or adding 2 episodes.
Yes, that's what I thought. Yeah,
it's somehow too much for what it is and not enough.
Yeah, I like that it's a direct sequel from 4. And you see pictures of Ashley Graham and stuff. Yeah.
That's the only link to it.
You've played the games, that kind of thing. But it's got Designated Survivor vibes to it, and I really like that show, but only in the first episode. But yeah, it's not good. But the main thing I want to talk about, it's a game that's been out since 2013, but I've only just started playing it. It's called Evoland. I don't know if you ever played it.
I have it. I don't think
it's by Shiro Games, a French company. Basically, it's a homage to 16-bit, 8-bit, 32-bit RPGs, action RPGs, JRPGs, all that. It starts basically like the best way to explain, because I've got this on the Switch, and it's got Evoland 1 and Evoland 2. I've started on Evoland 1, obviously. I'm still halfway through it. You start off, you can't even go up and down. It's all Game Boy, the original Game Boy graphics. All you can do is go right. So you go right, you open a chest. Hey, you've unlocked left. You can go left. Then after you've unlocked left, it says, oh, you can now go up and down. Then you've unlocked those. And basically you're opening treasure chests. And you're basically turning this little game into a fully fledged, like, PlayStation era RPG as you're playing it. So, like, you go for the first 5 minutes, there's no music, you unlock a treasure chest, there's music, then you unlock your hearts, like on Zelda, then you unlock the sword, so you can cut grass like on Zelda, and that's basically the progression of the game. You unlock new things in treasure chests. It sounds stupid, but it really works, because a lot of it's quite puzzly. Eventually, you get outside of the dungeon, you unlock a world map. Then you unlock Mode 7 from the SNES. So it goes on that weird quasi 3D angle. Then you unlock random battles like Final Fantasy. Then you unlock a town. You unlock NPCs. Do you know what I mean? As you know, action RPGs and adventure games and strategy, Japanese RPGs, you're unlocking it as you go along. And I think it's really fucking clever. Like, you
can tell that EA didn't make it because you'd have to pay for every step to be unlocked.
like I'm going at a pace. I only think it's like a 5-hour long game. It's just constantly going. Like, at one point you unlock experience points, like when you're in the very, very few random battles that you get in. Then you unlock a big boss, and then that just changes to another type of gaming, like gaming genre. Then it'll turn into like a 2D side-scrolling thing, or then it'll turn into a like a card collecting game. It just keeps changing genre as you're unlocking new things, and then eventually, it's just really good. Now I'm at the point where I'm in like a link between Ocarina of Time style dungeons and stuff like that, and it's just really fucking clever. And I got this because I saw it really cheap on the Switch, like £11 for both games. Some like enhanced edition. So I'm hoping once I've done the first game, the second game does a similar thing, and just keeps progressing and progressing and progressing. But it's really, have you not even heard of it? You've not even seen any screenshots or anything?
No.
Sounds interesting.
It is really interesting. Sorry?
What did it come out on?
It came out on phones originally.
Oh, okay.
But not a free-to-play game. It's a game that you paid for. Windows, Android, iOS, and then now it's on PlayStation 4, Switch, Xbox, everything, basically. It's on everything.
No, I never heard of it.
It's just really fucking clever. And to say how old it is, obviously, graphically, it doesn't have to be amazing, because it's just 8-bit. It gets to like the 32-bit. I've just recently unlocked an FMV. which is good. And what else would it? Cell shading. I unlocked cell shading and pixels at one point as well. It's just really fucking clever. Like, you keep backtracking on places that you started off, but because you've unlocked so much more like graphics and assets and stuff like that, the baddies start getting harder because you actually unlock boxes and it says, now the enemies can fire projectiles. And like, oh no, what have I done? I've only beefed them up. It's just really good. It's like, because like I say, it's got JRPG battles, but you're not designed to be in them battles for long. It's just to remind you.
Stig will be up for it.
No, it's just to remind you of that style. Like, you can't. I don't think you can die in this game. I've not died in it, and like, it's not like you have to go to the shop and buy loads of health potions and stuff like that. You keep bashing A button and you just get through them. And then the main, like where I've got to now, I'm unlocking a lot less, and it just seems to have stuck to that Zelda formula where you're in a dungeon, there's fireballs, you're finding a key, then you're finding a boss arena key, and you're fighting a Zelda style boss. So the turn-based thing, I think it was just showing you that was a part of time. But yeah, I just really like it. It's really cheap, £11 on Switch. I don't know where it's probably even cheaper on Steam. It's probably £1. But you get both games, and I just can't wait to finish the first one and get into the second one. It's just, I'm sorry I'm late to the party. People that are listening to this have probably already played it, but I really like it. And it's got like a triple triad game in there as well. Love it.
So it's basically a game made for you.
It is, but it's, if I were to pin it down on one format, it's a Zelda game. That's their biggest inspiration, and mainly 2D Zelda. You can just see it all over. It's a Nintendo like fanfic game. It's really good. There's a lot of in-jokes with other games and stuff like that. But yeah,
so what made you jump on it this time then? Because it's just
it was £11.
Oh, okay.
For both games. That's what made me jump on it. I just saw it. It just popped up there this week on the eShop, and I thought, Evoland. And then I looked at the pictures. I was like, oh my god, this is really clever. Because some games try this, don't they? Where you unlock the game as you're going along. And I don't mean like equipment. I mean, you unlock the fucking game. You like unpackage it as you're playing it.
Yeah.
And this just does it really, really clever. If you've got it, just play it for a first. You'd understand exactly why I'm finding it so difficult to explain what it is. But if you like Zelda, or you're a fan of the old 16-bit era games and stuff like that, play it. There's even a Highwind in it, Iggy. You love a Highwind.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, so for £11 on Switch or Steam or PS4, get it. So that's what I've been doing this week. I've been doing another secret project, but I can't talk to you about that. So I will. You will hear more in the coming weeks. So, Candy, what have you been up to?
I've been doing a few things this week, actually. Firstly, I've got a bit more Marvel for you. I went to see Black Widow.
No, you didn't.
I did, you know. I'm going to try and not be too spoilery because I know a lot of people won't have seen it yet. I don't think it was one of Marvel's greatest. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't really in the same sort of league as other recent Marvel releases. And unlike WandaVision, it didn't have any more of it. Didn't sort of add any more of an emotional connection or a deeper understanding of Natasha's character, which I was kind of hoping for, as it would sort of add a bit more gravitas to her ending in the Avengers series. It felt like it came out at a weird time. Like it felt like it should have been a prequel, whereas it was just sort of mistimed. I think it was set after Civil War, I want to say, and before the sort of main Avengers ones.
Yeah,
it should just come out then. Really,
it should have. Yeah, it should have done. I think it definitely would have been better coming out more chronologically.
Was it start filming before then?
No, I don't think so.
I wonder why they've done it this way. Never mind.
I think maybe they wanted people to care maybe more about her character.
Yeah,
or they've used it as a means to introduce new characters that they might continue with, especially Florence Pugh. I think she's probably got a future in the films. But because of when it's come out, nothing really felt urgent. You know, we all know Natasha's future, so there's no real threat. David Harbour's character,
I love him.
Also, yeah, I love him. I absolutely love him. But I feel like he didn't really add much to the film. He didn't really. They could have just.
Didn't with Hellboy either. He's breaking my heart.
Oh, Harbs, why you do this to us? Yeah, he could have been cut out completely, and it wouldn't really have affected the story. I think he was just used as a sort of flavour of the month, which also is a little bit mistimed because it's been a while since we had any Stranger Things. A little bit like Eleven being used in Godzilla, her character didn't really add much to the story either, other than a sort of famous flavour of the moment face. So that was it for me. The other thing I've been doing, I read The Rats by James Herbert.
Yes.
Sorry, Stig, another rat thing. It's a horror novel written by James Herbert in 1974. It's also been adapted as a film called Deadly Eyes in the 80s, which I haven't seen yet, but I kind of want to see it. I didn't know either. And also, I did not know this either. It's also been made into a game for the Commodore 64 and the ZX Spectrum in 1985.
It's probably incredible then.
I'm sure it would be. You might have heard of James Herbert's other sort of, I would say it's probably more of a well-known book, The Fog.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The Dark.
Yeah.
No, Frank Herbert is.
It's set in post-war London. It tells the story of giant mutant rats on a killing spree. And it sort of begins as a collection of backstories of the rats' victims and what led them to the circumstances of their untimely sort of demises. And in a lot of the cases, the victims that are devoured by the rats are actually pretty awful people in the first place. There's not a lot of redeeming features about any of them. So the rats could really be interpreted as the victims being devoured by their own shortcomings in life. And it also serves as social commentary on London at the time. The city was still suffering the side effects of the war. Bomb sites are still very much present, and it's the lack of sanitation. It's really graphic and gory, and it probably will give you the heebie-jeebies even if you don't have a problem with rodents. I don't have a problem with rats, or I didn't until I read this.
Yeah, same.
And something to keep in mind, it was written in 1975, so some of the language used would probably be considered a little bit problematic by today's standards.
They all read Rendezvous with Rama. They're used to it.
I mean, luckily it's nothing too heinous, but it's very much a book of the time, I think. But what it has done, it's motivated me to start a Plague Tale, so I think I'll be doing that next week.
Oh my word, that game is so good.
So I hear, so I'm excited about that. But that's been my week.
Excellent, brilliant, good, strong week. Biggie.
Well, for those that know me from a previous Discord, I am quite a fan of Jackie Chan.
No way.
Oh, yes. In fact, you and me first had a proper discussion on that Discord.
We bonded over the Chanster.
About the man himself. So, after watching that documentary last week, it inspired me to sort of track down some 80s movies, which I thought I'd pick up. But I went a bit further back and ended up watching Drunken Master.
Oh, yeah.
1,
Ooh, nice.
and then Drunken Master 2 straight afterwards.
I think 2 is better.
Yeah, it's a difficult one for me because I was a massive fan of the original and saw it so many times.
Yeah.
That it kind of has that nostalgic feel for me. But as a martial art movie, yeah, I would agree that the second has a lot more to it.
Yeah.
It's a lot more funnier in its own way.
It is.
So the original Drunken Master was released in 1978. Directed by Yuen Wu Ping, who also did the choreography for The Matrix and the Crouching Tiger movies. It's that sort of 70s/80s Hong Kong martial arts comedy that basically became a genre for Jackie Chan in his early days, if not most of his movies. The plot basically revolves around the protagonist, Wong Fei Hung, who's actually quite a famous Chinese martial artist. He's a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner and almost a revolutionary, I guess, as well, from the Qing dynasty. In this movie, he's more of a cocky guy, actually, a sort of a teenager who mucks about trying to impress his mates, basically. Early on, he gets into trouble, and after several incidents all happening on the same day, he brings dishonour to his father and his father's name, and gets assigned to Beggar So, also known as Sam Sneed, depending on which version you watch, the original or the dubbed. And he's a tough teacher in martial arts who will teach Wong discipline and respect. But after going out on more chaotic run around trying to avoid this horrible teacher he's ended up with, he almost gets killed by an assassin for hire in a chance encounter. And after being humiliated, he finally decides to study under Beggar So. I mean, the plot isn't anything new from most movies, but what was interesting was that for me, it was my first discovery about drunken martial arts. And it's a really interesting style where it gives the impression that the fighter is obviously drunk. And then Sonny pulls out these really fast, quite powerful moves. And in this movie, they cover the learning the art of the 8 drunken gods in an excellent training montage, which basically just has Jackie Chan showing off all his skills. Yeah, I just love it. It's classic Jackie Chan. the martial arts is a little bit slow at times, so it really kind of almost makes it look like a dance as opposed.
It's fluid, isn't it?
But it is still
rather than
fluid.
rapid.
Yeah, and there is an appearance as the assassin, which is Hwang Jang-lee, who's really good in this movie because he is actually Korean, and he comes with a different style of kung fu.
It's Taekwondo, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more sort of kick based, but it's really impressive. And then literally in 1994, so nearly 20 years later, he ended up filming a sequel.
Yeah.
Directed by somebody called Lau Ka-lung. It was set in the early 20th century, and the plot revolves around sort of basically a MacGuffin, an Imperial seal. The plot basically just covers the British consul, yay, Brits bad, trying to smuggle all of the artifacts out of China to Britain. Jackie Chan, once again, playing Wong Fei Hung, ends up, again, get very drunk, fighting the bad guys, and bringing shame to his father, who kicks him out of the house. He ends up getting oodles kind of drunk.
Yeah, monkey booze.
Drowns his sorrows and then gets beaten up and hung up as a message to all the locals who, as a side plot, are threatening to strike due to unfair treatment and conditions in a local plant. Wong wakes up the next day ashamed of his actions and, like Oodles, swears to never drink again. And then the next day, he literally gets involved in another fight as he ends up joining the protesters to avenge the death of a friend. And then Jackie Chan goes absolutely fucking crazy. He ends up fighting drunken style, but this time alcohol is not involved. He did keep his word. He gave that up. And instead, he basically drank lighter fuel in this movie and ends up having an intense battle whilst being completely off his head. The stunts in this are something else. It is so much faster. Again, the antagonist, I forgot to put his name down here, but he, again, brought a different style as Jackie's adversary. And yeah, really, really good stuff from Jackie Chan. It was a great fight in a tea house.
Oh, God, yes.
I mean, a lot of Jackie Chan's movies are kind of set pieces and then the plot's written around it. You can see that again here.
They plan the stunts first, don't they?
Yeah, and this is really funny as well. There's a lot more sort of physical comedy with all the actors.
Falling on his ass.
Yeah, and one of the weirdest things, because I recognised the guy that plays Jackie Chan's father in this movie. His father was only 7 years older than Jackie in real life, and his mother was 9 years younger than him in this movie. So go figure.
And Jackie Chan didn't look too young in this either.
No, he did not. But yeah, it's Jackie Chan all through and through, and I implore you, if you haven't seen it, to watch it.
It's so good. There was rumoured to be doing a third one, but that got kiboshed about a decade ago. Excellent. Stig?
This week I listened to a podcast.
Stop listening to other podcasts.
I listened to a podcast called Modern Escapism.
I've heard of it.
Because I wasn't on last week.
Did we do you proud?
Yes, I was hungover. No, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I was very hungover after that England game.
Fucking wasn't.
Yeah, but like I just couldn't. All day I could not get the headache. Just wouldn't leave. No matter how many tablets I took, how much water I drank. I was just because I mix stuff.
Ah, see, that's where I
don't. Yeah, but Prosecco and nuts aren't mixing things.
Prosecco and Bombay mix.
Beer and mojitos and other shots and whatever else people were giving me. Like, it was just a terrible mixture of stuff that I just did not feel very well.
I'm glad you suffered.
Yeah, so I made notes.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I have feedback. First off, kudos to Candy for putting herself through watching the Matrix sequels. For the podcast.
They said it couldn't be done.
That's
I do it for the greater good.
Beautiful commitment to the greater good.
The greater good.
The best bit in Alien Resurrection is Sigourney Weaver throwing the basketball over her shoulder.
Yeah.
Because she did that in one take in real life.
Okay, pretty sure Biggie said that under his breath at one point.
I did, but the thing is, though, I mean, how would she know what basketball is? That's the thing that really annoyed me. Like, she knew where it was going.
Basketball is timeless. They're humans, aren't they? Yeah.
And she just threw it. But the fact that I just love the fact that she did that in real life. And if you ever listen to an interview with Ron Perlman, he says, I nearly fucked that scene up because my reaction was just like, holy fuck. Like,
there is a clip of that.
Yeah, he has to turn away because he realizes he's about to fuck up the scene. Like,
I mean, he fucked up the film.
The film's
I would not have that.
By the way, I would rather watch Resurrection than Covenant. 100%.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yes.
Shia LaBeouf is much better now in indie films. You said he's shit in everything. Peanut Butter Falcon is a brilliant film.
Is it?
Yep. But the best thing that if we didn't have Shia LaBeouf, we wouldn't have the song about him being an actual cannibal. And if you haven't watched that, you need to go onto YouTube and watch the Shia LaBeouf song because it is incredible.
I haven't seen that, I don't think.
After this, just seriously, just Shia LaBeouf song, and it's a little stage show about Shia LaBeouf being a cannibal.
I'll stick it in the show notes for people to listen to after this.
Metal Gear Solid jumped the shark in Metal Gear Solid 2. It then jumped the shark again in Metal Gear Solid 4. Yeah. It did not take till Metal Gear Solid 5 to jump the shark.
That's what I was saying. Number 2 was the jump.
Yeah. And finally, Die Hard 4. It's a good action film. It's not a Die Hard film. It's an good action film.
Yes.
No, I didn't enjoy it.
I enjoyed the film, but I can't get around it being John McClane doing these things. So
I think that's what really kills it. But
it could just be something like Dave McClane, a different guy.
Yeah, it could have just been anyone, really.
It probably was, mate, and then they just put John McClane in it.
Yeah. Oh, I did have notes about the Tomorrow World, but you covered most of that. It was pretty much the same. I had the same kind of reaction you two had.
Wasn't fantastic, was it?
No. Chris Pratt he's a bit bland.
It was miscast in a way.
Ooh. Gadget had said, does he do that Chris Pratt thing? And I think because he doesn't do the Chris Pratt thing,
that's what we're waiting for.
He's very boring. Like, Chris Pratt does something very good. Stick to it.
He's just removed the one thing that makes him memorable.
Yeah.
But I did. You didn't mention the bit where they do science, and there's a little science montage with like little test tubes and science screens and DNA things. I absolutely love that. As soon as that came up, I was like,
science.
Yeah, it was basically
this is a
that.
montage.
They might have well been high-fiving over test tubes and stuff.
Yeah. Molecules. High five.
But the main thing I did this week was, sadly, we lost a great director in Richard Donner this week.
Yes.
And for those of you who don't know, Richard Donner did the likes of Superman 1 and 2, The Goonies, the Lethal Weapon series, Scrooged, some Tales from the Crypt.
I forgot about that.
Maverick, Assassins, and
great
his
movie.
final film, which I consider the unofficial Die Hard trilogy sequel, 16 Blocks.
Oh, 16 Blocks is so good.
Yeah,
I've not seen that.
16 Blocks is a Die Hard film.
Yeah, it's got John McClane in it.
It's got Bruce Willis in it, and it's very much that kind of Die Hard setting, but yeah, it's not. But yeah, that was his last film in 2006, and yeah, he sadly passed away this week. And I just felt like watching one of his films, and I decided to settle on Superman because I've not seen it in absolutely ages. I honestly don't think I've seen it since I was a child.
Wow.
It still holds up. It's still brilliant.
Yeah.
He gets Superman so much. Him and Christopher Reeves they're just the perfect team, and they just get Superman so well. I love the opening, how weird and trippy it is on Krypton. Yeah, everyone's in there like with like the weird white suits and the whole like banishing of Zod and his crew, like, and
it's like some acid trip, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really just. It doesn't seem to fit the rest of the film, but it's not meant to because
Different solar
Krypton
system.
isn't Earth. Yeah, it's not our planet, and it's a completely different looking planet. Like I've been playing Injustice 2, and that starts off on Krypton.
Yeah,
and it could just be any city. It just could be a futuristic city. But this is just like, for well, this isn't Earth. This is somewhere
the
in
Krypton on Man of
space.
Steel just looked like something off of Star Wars.
I was going to say that one looks even more generic, really, doesn't it? The Man of Steel one.
But like it, I just kind of love that this film essentially takes 50 minutes to even establish Clark and Superman.
Yeah,
you get the whole. It builds it up so much. Like it isn't a case of thrown onto Earth. Here's Superman. Go. Like it kind of builds up.
You wanted it to be longer as well.
Yeah, well, there's a 3-hour cut, but he never liked that.
Yeah, he didn't like that one.
He says that his is 2 hours and 20 minutes. His version, he said that's like the definitive version. And we talked about this in our Discord, but I love the way that he handles his dad's death.
Yeah, it's way better.
In this film, his dad has a heart attack and dies, and Clark is like, basically just his words are, "I couldn't save him," and it's done so much well because like it was perfect. What Oodle said was that even though he's got all this power and he can run fast and he's got super strength and he's got all this, he can see through things and do all this and he's indestructible. He can't beat nature.
Yeah. That was always one of his kryptonites, nature and magic. But let's not talk about magic. But, I mean, nature itself.
They do something later in the film which I've always disliked, which kind of undoes this because he could have just done that at that point.
Yep.
But when you compare that to something like Man of Steel, where it's just like his dad is I'm forgetting what's his dad's name again?
Sorry?
What's his dad's name?
Mr. Kent.
Mr. Kent. You should know this. You're our resident comic book nerd.
It's Martha and
Jonathan Kent.
Jonathan Kent, that's it. Yeah, so Jonathan
Such
Kent.
a non-character.
Yeah, in Man of Steel, it's just like, for some queer reason, he doesn't want, for some reason,
Kevin Costner
want Superman to show himself.
He's stupid.
He's like, he's trapped in the eye of a storm, and Clark's wanting to get at him, and he just puts his hand up. He's like, "No, don't rescue me." And it's just like, he's faster than a speeding bullet. He could rescue you, get back to the spot where we stood, and no one would have seen.
He's literally canonically 4 nanoseconds slower than the Flash.
Yeah,
he could just get him.
It just annoyed me so, and it just highlighted how much Richard Donner's films got Superman, how much they were how much better they were than the current incarnation.
Consider when it was released, how it actually. You obviously know that I'm older than you guys, so I saw this when I was a kid, and it just made you
man.
It just made you think that Superman could fly. Like, it was true. It was real. When you see Superman in the comic and you suddenly see that on the screen, it was just something else. It was so well done.
You know what I really liked about it is when it came out, this film, we weren't at the Superman golden age anymore. We were at the Cold War era Superman. But Donner just thought, you know what, I'm not going to go for that grit. I'm going to go for what we know as Superman.
Yeah.
The joyfulness.
Yep.
If he's going to be the strongest thing we've ever known on Earth, what's the best way to stop him is with Earth things rather than, you know what I mean? It's really
and the outfit
clever.
was exactly as the comic.
Spot on.
You know?
It's honestly, like you said, that people have come out and said Richard Donner not only made me believe a man could fly, but he made me believe that comic book characters could be brought to life on the big screen with heart, humor, humidity, and I can't pronounce this last word.
Verisimilitude.
That's the word.
Bonus points to Gadget.
That was from Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
So
massive inspiration to MCU, that one as well.
Yes.
The one thing that I think always typified for me that how much Richard Donner got Superman was it's not even like the biggest scene in the film. It's there's a scene, it's about 2/3 of the way through, I think, where Superman drops Lois Lane off at her apartment and then flies off, and then Clark knocks on the door about a minute later.
Yeah,
and he walks in, and it's this maybe 2 minute long unbroken shot where like Lois is kind of fussing about and just like she's all over the flutter having been flown around by Superman, and Clark's talking to her, and she kind of walks off screen into another room, and then he kind of becomes Superman. Like Christopher Reeve's entire physicality changes. He takes the glasses
his chest
off.
up. Like, breathes. Yeah.
He takes his glasses off, and then for a few seconds he's Superman. And then when he hears her coming back, he puts the glasses on. He shrinks back into being Clark Kent. And you think, like, for all the people over the years who said, "Oh, well, he just takes his glasses off," like, you know, wouldn't Lois notice in the morning or something like that? I said no, because Richard Donner managed to get this unbroken shot like this, which showed that like his entire body effectively changes between the two characters. And it's just
really clever how they do it. And
he made him a buffoon
like
as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he made him a buffoon.
But buffoon, a bit clumsy, a bit bumbling, a bit unsure of himself.
Which is from the Golden Age comics. Superman is not his alter ego. That's himself. His alter ego is Clark Kent, and it's really. I mean, you can't talk about the first Superman without talking about Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor, the best Lex Luthor in my opinion, and Margot Kidder as the best Lois Lane as well.
Oh, the chemistry that Reeves and Kidder have is so unreal.
Good.
Yeah, and just the way Reeves, like you said, portrays Clark as opposed to Superman. Like when you first meet him at the Daily Planet, he's there trying to he's there trying to get a cap off a bottle, and he's
Yeah,
pretending he can't do it, and then he sprays it all over himself, and he's all bumbling, and he's like dropping stuff, and even one of the best things about it is he stays in character when no one's around. So
Yeah,
he's there
he
waiting
does.
he's there waiting for a
Method
lift,
acting.
and there's no one around, but he still plays up as Clark Kent, and that's how you get away from him.
Clark Kent is his real mask, isn't it? That's his mask.
Yeah.
I do like how they do the Golden Age phone box as well, phone booth.
Yeah,
Where
what I love
shirt.
is he runs to the phone booth, and it's like a half and half one. So he's like, oh, I can't do that in here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's proper. It's such a homage.
yeah. I mean, just again, like the bit where the robber where they get held up in the alleyway, and he's all just like, oh, listen to him, Lois, listen to him, and she's the hard ass in that scene.
Yeah.
The one standing up to him, and he's the one pretending to faint, and it's like no wonder you wouldn't expect this guy to be Superman.
Yeah.
You know,
It's nothing to do with how he looks; it's how he acts. That's why people don't believe, because people could say you've got a look of Superman, but you're such a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
how could you be?
I get it all the time.
Yeah, I bet you do.
There's a few things in this film that doesn't make sense. I never really understood why Lex Luthor lived underground.
That's a homage, but it's stupid.
Yeah, it doesn't. In the context of this film, it doesn't. There is like a point where the policeman are like, oh, it'll lead us to the boss. And I'm like, but why does this rich man live underground like this? That doesn't make sense.
Lex Luthor was known to have a big LexCorp building.
Yeah, Superman turning the world backwards to bring Lois back to life and stop the stuff happening. That's terrible.
The reason he did that, though, is because there was no other superheroes in that universe, so they had to think of a reason. Normally, Superman would have gone to someone else and gone, can you help me with this?
I get what they were doing because they get to show the destruction. Superman just doesn't save the day. He actually fails.
Yeah.
It shows that Superman isn't just going to stop every tragedy. He isn't going to stop everyone dying. He isn't going to stop this.
A choice, didn't he?
Yeah, and he actually does fail, and in doing so, Lois gets killed. I think they could have just done it without Lois getting killed, and maybe something, and not had the world turning backwards.
There is a fan, not a fan theory, but a fan cut that they said. Imagine if it was that Lois had some kind of illness and he had to rush off and take her somewhere to the other side of the country or something like that, rather than spin the world backwards on its axis. Think of something that's a bit more believable, but
Or just have somebody else die and not her.
what, and leave her.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean as much, does it? But
No, but it could be
I
somebody
get what they're
with
doing
invested
for, but like,
interest,
I guess maybe back then it wasn't so much of a problem. But like, kind of these days, you look at it and go,
Like nowadays, if it was a Superman film and Lois died, they'd just get someone like Dr. Fate that can just change time and twist it back round.
Oh no,
or
she'd
the
die, and they
Flash.
put her in a pool, and they go.
Yeah, that's
they
what
go
I mean.
find a cube, and then they get
Yeah.
Flash to run really fast, touch
Yeah.
it, set it up. Yeah, that's.
There'd be ways round it now, but then
It'll be in
think
black and white and in slow motion.
Yeah, Donna worked with what he could have worked with, and I think for its time, it's an emotional gut punch. And for my money, a lot of people say Tim Burton's Batman's the best original superhero film. It's not. This is.
Yeah, Superman. It's brilliant. And just before I finish, there is one shot in it. You can go on YouTube and find it because there's loads of clips of it. It's this perfect, unbroken shot of the Daily Planet, and it's just moving through the whole of the offices.
Oh yeah,
going from people to people, round columns, past desks, into different corridors, into different rooms.
Proper choreographed, isn't it?
And it is full on unbroken, one take shot, and it's absolutely fantastic. And that just shows how good of a director he was.
You've made me want to go and watch it again.
I'll just watch it.
I'm gonna go and try and find the Donna cut of Superman 2.
Yeah, which is the better version.
Because I don't think I've seen that one, but
I don't think I have.
this made me want to.
You can watch Superman 3, but then just stop.
No, that's
We're
not
getting into an alien
exist.
situation here, aren't we?
Yeah.
First two classics.
The first two are linked because he had them.
Yeah.
They were both filmed at the same time.
And Zod's there at the beginning of first one.
Yeah, and it makes sense. So yeah, I'm gonna watch that, and I might watch Lethal Weapon again.
Yeah. You could watch Lethal Weapon anytime.
Yeah, I watch Scrooge like every Christmas time.
Yeah, I watched it in December as well.
But yeah, Superman was it was really nice to watch that again.
Yeah, massive hats off to Richard Donner. What a sad loss. Absolutely. What a man. Excellent. Biggie, what on earth are we talking about?
This week, we're going to be talking about roles in TV and film that were horribly miscast, completely unlike this podcast, and what we thought of that. And for bonus points, we also threw in who we might have cast in that role instead.
Yep.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us. Good night.
That's the end.
No, the reason I'm saying yep is because we haven't got to mine yet, but we're going to start with Gadget.
So I'm going to start off talking about a little film that I was forced to watch many, many times as part of my music degree, because we analysed this film's soundtrack. Fair enough. We had to watch the film about 15 times over, getting all the musical cues. This film came out in, when was it? It was about 1990, I think, or 1991, actually. June 14th, 1991. This film made a lot of money. Was a big smash hit, had a big smash hit single come off it that pestered the British charts for 14 weeks. I'm talking about
true.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves,
Yep.
Kevin fucking Costner.
I do it for you.
That was nearly one of mine.
What a film.
I'm going to tell you now, I have never seen this.
What, don't, Biggie? Well, okay, the thing is, the film itself isn't bad. For me, I would cast it as an average film because there's a lot I dislike about it, but it doesn't necessarily make it a bad film. The problem is Kevin Costner playing the lead of Robin of Locksley. He's shite. For starters, he makes no effort whatsoever to do a British accent. Not even a bad British accent. No, he doesn't even do a bad British accent. He just comes in straight away with that fucking middle Californian accent that he's got.
Hey man, Robin Hood here.
Full of cock and swagger, and it's just like, no, fuck off. No one in England in the 14th century sounded like this.
That's why I always love that joke in Men in Tights.
Yes.
Like other Robin Hoods, I speak with an English accent.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I will adore Carrie Elways and Mel Brooks for the rest of my life.
We should anyway.
I mean, we should. Yeah, they're amazing people, but just for that one gag. Yeah, so if you haven't seen Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, it tells a very rarefied version of the Robin Hood story. Robin of Locksley finds himself strung up during the Crusades, breaks out with his Moor, played by Morgan Freeman.
Yep.
Which I always forgot that this is one of his earliest films.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He manages to escape the Crusades, find his way back to England.
His conscription.
Yeah, escape his conscription. Winds up in Dover, gets to Nottingham via Northumberland. Because you get the fight scene at Sycamore Gap on Hadrian's Wall for some inexplicable reason.
No one will notice.
No, apart from the Northerners. Gets himself to Nottingham and Sherwood Forest and discovers that his kind of ancestral home has been seized by the Sheriff of Nottingham, who was played by the runaway star of this in Alan Rickman.
Hans Gruber.
So perfect.
Hans Gruber.
Sir Hans Gruber.
He's not just chewing the scenery, he's chewing through the walls of the castle. That's how much he's enjoying himself playing this film.
Mr. Hood.
And as it goes on, he then kind of meets his merry men, who also includes the other horrendous miscast in this film, Christian Slater as Will Scarlet.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot he was in that.
Yeah.
Surfer dude, Christian Slater.
Yes, a very young, very wet behind the ears Christian Slater in one of his first big film roles, playing an American Will Scarlet.
Great hair, though.
Oh, fantastic.
I only know
hair.
this from seeing that bloody music video that they kept showing all the scenes.
Yeah.
I've not seen the movie.
Yeah, by
but I
the way,
remember
Bryan
he's in
Adams
it.
is not in this film.
No, but that
Yeah.
is throughout it all because the actual melody is written by Michael Kamen, who did the soundtrack for it.
Yeah.
And it was then transplanted onto the song, which was originally just done for the credits. And then they said, you know what, if we sell this by itself, it'll make a ton. And by fuck, it did.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was number one for 14 weeks. I think for a while it was the longest
Record
running.
holder.
It was.
Yeah, it was the record holder for quite a long time.
It's a shame those stray arrows hit him.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, the film itself is an overwrought, overly. I don't know how you describe it. Overly.
The best way to describe it is it's Zack Snyder's Robin Hood.
Yeah, actually,
Not that bad.
It is.
no.
not.
There's a lot of slow motion.
I'm sure you've said you like
There
Robin
is
Hood
slow-mo.
before.
I do like it, but I also watched the Justice League Snyder Cut 4 times. So
I like Prince of Thieves. I'm not
No, I'm
not ashamed to say it. I like it.
hey, I like
Absolutely can't stand
Waterworld
it.
and The Postman.
I like
Fucking hell.
Waterworld too.
Yeah, I didn't mind Waterworld. I have seen that.
We keep saying it. There are literally tens of you who like these things. But yeah, it was one of these things where Kevin Costner was kind of at the height of his powers, and it was like the biggest budget film I think he could get in for that year. I think it was to help him with his cachet to get his passion project, which was Waterworld, off the ground.
Oh, God.
For whatever good that did him. And yeah, just the thing is, there are a million other actors who could have done the role. And the thing is, I'm really annoyed that you came to me first because I'd forgotten that we were recasting them as well. So I hadn't thought of another actor to take his place. But the thing is, any other action star could have done it and probably would have done it better because aside from the accent thing, he's just incredibly wooden and unsympathetic. Like, there has to be an arrogance to Robin Hood. There does have to be an arrogance because of the kind of character he is. He is a thief. But he is also this kind of legendary charmer, very kind of vivacious, very over the top, that kind of thing. So there does need to be an arrogance to him. But with Kevin Costner's interpretation of the character, there's just no likability to him. He is just a dickhead who succeeds at everything, and it's very frustrating to see. And fucking let Carrie Elwes do it. He'd done The Princess Bride in the 80s. He could have just fucking walked straight into there, which I guess is.
Or it could have been Alan Rickman playing both roles, and it would have still been better.
That would have been incredible.
Speaking of like,
I'm trying to look at English actors.
those
from that
kinds
era.
of. I genuinely think Val Kilmer should have done it.
The thing is, at that time, Val Kilmer done Willow. I mean, he could have
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
he
thinking
could
of.
have done that role, yeah.
Mardigan. Is it Mardigan? Mardigan. Whatever he's called in Willow. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Scruffy looking. Val Kilmer can put an accent on. He knows what he's doing.
Well, exactly. I mean, Val Kilmer can act.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So I think thinking about that's who I'd put. I'm thinking of the time scale as well. 1991.
Yeah.
Val Kilmer, huge.
Yeah, absolutely. He could. And him or Carrie Elwes, I would have been very happy
Patrick
with.
Swayze, for fuck's sake.
Oh, no, I don't think Patrick Swayze would have done that one. He would have been all about the hair.
Yes.
I'm not
Everyone's
crazy for
all about the
Swayze.
hair in that film. Even Friar Tuck's got better hair.
That is true.
I do like Friar Tuck in that film.
Yeah, I
It's just-
do.
He played it very straight, didn't he? Whereas it was almost kind of a light-hearted film, and he just.
Well, Robin
Yeah.
Hood's
No
the
charisma,
original
did he?
rogue. You want a roguish front.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Yeah, he does play a bit straight read, doesn't he, when you consider how Rickman plays the sheriff and how
Yeah.
Little
He plays
John
a
is
sheriff
and
like
Friar
Shakespeare.
Tuck.
There isn't a single Shakespeare character in any of his plays that's straight, that plays it straight. Shakespeare's verbose, it's over the top. That's how it should have been. I know Robin Hood's not a Shakespeare play, but it's that era. Do you know what I mean? It's just be crazy with it. Think Hamlet, think Macbeth, go fucking wild.
Yeah.
Well, look at when they try and do a bit of a straight Robin Hood. Russell Crowe did it, and it got
Oh,
panned.
God.
Do you know what I mean? Like every other Robin Hood's kind of been a bit campy.
Did you see the Taron Egerton one?
He was better.
Yeah.
The Guy Ritchie one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I heard it was.
He's
a bit
better.
more like, "Call blimey, governor, it's Robin Hood."
It's a
It's as
lot
if
of
Robin
that.
Hood was born in the East End.
Yeah.
Did it have David Beckham in it as well?
Yes, it did.
Also. That was good.
This is a walk on. Just can we go back to the Room 101 thing from the Patreon thing and just put Kevin Costner in it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame that Alan Rickman weren't as big then, because he could have been a Robin Hood in a way. An uglier Robin Hood.
No, he's so good as a villain.
Yeah, I don't think I would have liked Alan Rickman as the lead there.
Oh, we'll settle on Val Kilmer then.
Yeah, we'll settle on Val Kilmer and we'll just cut Will Scarlet out of the story whatsoever.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He doesn't do anything in it anyway.
No, that's true.
Other than
It's
sit
always
with
in
his
the way,
floppy hair.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's the floppy hair, isn't it?
Excellent. Good pick. Candy, what you got?
I'm going with Keanu Reeves in Cyberpunk.
Whoa.
I'm interested to know about this one.
Johnny Silverhand.
1,000 voices screaming out all at once. Now, obviously, we have no source material to compare this to.
I mean, there is the game. The original game. Because Johnny Silverhand is a character. Johnny Silverhand is a character in that. Yeah. He's in the lore for the tabletop game.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about the tabletop game. I'm just sort of going by what's sort of written as his character before the game actually came out. So my main problem was he just doesn't have any kind of believable conviction.
He's breathtaking.
Meant to be, he is breathtaking. I'm not denying that.
You're breathtaking.
Thanks.
You're all breathtaking. But he's meant to be a sort of revolutionary. Absolutely. He's meant to be a revolutionary sort of out for
He's
revenge.
a punk, isn't he?
Yeah, hard-ass punk, but he just acts like he's bored and world-weary and doesn't really give a fuck about anything. And it's such a massive contrast to his on-stage persona when he's performing with Samurai, his band.
Samurai, yeah.
So his singing voice is voiced by Dennis, I'm going to butcher this, Dennis Lixon of Refused.
Yep.
And I think that the music is a much better representation of the character's feelings and emotions. It's sort of energetic and unrelating, and it just takes no prisoners or excuses. The thing is with Keanu is he's got a very specific style of acting.
Stoned.
You might describe it. Stoned. Some would say bad.
Well,
Yeah.
no. He has two styles of acting. He has Bill and Ted, and he has The Matrix.
And he has Bram Stoker's Dracula.
No, he doesn't have that. That was the problem.
See, that is a miscast. That is a miscast.
That felt like a low-hanging fruit, though.
Yeah, it was too easy.
Mina.
No, well, he's great at John Wick. Fuck off.
Yeah, he is very good. I think what
He
he
doesn't talk much.
Exactly.
Yeah, what he does really well. But his monotone delivery and the sort of cool persona, it doesn't really fit how I would have liked Johnny Silverhand to be.
Yeah,
I would say
he does
needed
have the most
somebody.
dialogue in the game as well.
Yeah, I would have liked to see somebody who's sort of more youthful with like a raw energy and still like angry at the world. And it's hard to believe him as being charismatic enough to garner like a cult-like following in the youth.
Yeah.
Maybe he is a little bit too old. He's never described as a nice person in cyberpunk lore, and throughout the game, you sort of come to understand his way of thinking, and you may sympathise with his cause, but I don't think you're ever really friends. He's never nice. He's actually a massive dick, and not in a particularly endearing way either. And
he's a misogynist as well.
Misogynist, yeah. Just he doesn't give a fuck about anyone, including his own kind of points. He doesn't even believe himself. And Keanu's just universally loved as a person, and it's hard to think of him as anything other than a sort of lovable dork holding a puppy.
Yeah, because he's a lovely bloke in real life, isn't he?
Yeah.
He is.
He's the internet's boyfriend.
Yeah. I wish he were my boyfriend
him.
sometimes.
I saw a meme that just said several women come forward to accuse Keanu Reeves, and I was like, oh, fuck's sake. And then it just went, I've been the nicest guy in show business. I was like,
Thank God.
you had me at the start, and then,
Well, there's even pictures of him when he's taking photos with fans, and he doesn't actually, he puts his arm around girls, but doesn't actually touch them. He's always, kind of hovering. I understand why he was cast. He's a huge pull, and I think the reveal at E3 was genuinely unexpected. I just love watching streamers' reactions on YouTube as well when he walked out. He just added even more to the already massive hype machine for the game, I think, which ultimately is one of the factors that led to its perceived failure. I do enjoy famous actors being cast in AAA games, and I think it's probably a trend that will continue, but I don't think Cyberpunk would have suffered that much with Keanu not being the main...
Yeah, we got Jon Snow in Call of Duty, didn't we?
We did. Fucking hell, we did. I forgot about that completely.
Yeah, Kevin
Everyone
Spacey.
was in Death Stranding.
Well, true, yeah.
Oh, yikes,
I
yeah.
had to forget that one.
But we try. In terms of alternative, it's hard to choose because it's a game and it doesn't necessarily need to rely on an actual person or their likeness to play a role. If I had to choose anyone, I'd like to see an actual musician give it a go. So he could maybe be the spoken and the singing voice.
John Lydon.
Glenn Danzig.
Yeah, maybe.
Danzig, yeah.
Danzig!
Got aging punk rockers.
Now that's a game that I would play.
Yes, I would.
Just appears in your vision. Mother!
Tell your cyborgs not to walk my way. So I was going to go with Frank Carter, formerly of The Gallows.
Oh, fuck.
He's sort of, young, wiry, and a bit unhinged unhinged and angry. And I just really want to see that kind of raw energy and emotion, and just someone a bit more fiery.
If we went older, think like Corey Taylor, Slipknot.
Yeah, that was another idea. Maybe Corey.
That is one thing I did think when I played the game originally. Like, Keanu's delivery is so insincere in it. Like,
Exactly.
you don't believe that he's a het up punk rocker that's got a thing about the corporations that he wants to destroy them all. It's just like he just kind of, whenever he appears in your vision, he appears and he just like swears at you and then says something really laid back.
Mm.
Like the dialogue
just randomly drops off a bit of scenery.
Yeah, the dialogue he's got is good, but it's the delivery's wrong.
Do you know what he reminds me of? I don't know if you've seen Get Him to the Greek, that Aldous Snow, the Russell Brand guy.
Yeah.
Where he's all like image, and then when you're talking to it, he's like, I'm just a really insecure guy. Do you know what I mean? It's like that.
I think it's just a case of, like you mentioned earlier, with David Harbour and Millie Bobby Brown being like the in faces at the moment because of Stranger Things, and it's like Keanu's kind of had a renaissance again because of John Wick, and they did Bill and Ted, and it's just like, who can we get which is going to hype this game up and people are going to love and no one's going to moan about Keanu Reeves,
and an actor that simply refuses to say no to stuff.
Yeah, regardless of like what kind of material we might actually get him to deliver.
Yeah,
like this will hype our game up.
I would have rather had Johnny Silver as not as a main narrative point, just as an off character, just something in the background, just to see on a poster now and again.
A walk-on kind of thing. You see him all around. He's in the videos and all that, and and like maybe at one point you meet him for a conversation, and then you leave him, and that's his.
I thought that's what it was. I thought that's what his role was.
No,
until until I like encountered him.
Yeah, no, same. Yeah, I didn't think he would play as big a role as he did.
Almost the biggest role in the game.
Well, certainly bigger than V, because V's not even a character.
I at some point,
he's not on mine. His head disappeared.
I need to finish that game at some point.
Yeah, I haven't gone back to it.
Even if it's just playing the main storyline and scrapping.
That's all I did eventually, mate.
I would.
That's all I did, and it's fine. The main narrative's absolutely 5 out of 10 fine.
Yeah. I paid for a digital version, so I've got to
yeah, same.
I've got to get my money's worth somehow.
Good pick though, really good pick. We'll move on to Biggie.
Well, I want to talk about the Batmans.
Yeah,
the Batmans.
So I'm not going to go into the movie as such. I just want to talk about the people, and particularly the other choices that they could have had. So these aren't my choices. These are the ones that apparently are also up for the role. So to start with, Batman Forever was released in 1995.
I can't hear that. We aren't laughing.
A decision was made to go with a younger actor for Bruce Wayne this time. And an offer was originally made for Ethan Hawke.
Yes,
really?
I remember that.
I didn't know that.
Who turned it down.
Yep.
And eventually regretted the decision, or maybe it was the right decision. Schumacher had seen Val Kilmer in Tombstone.
Yeah.
But he was also interested in, and get this little list. You ready?
Okay.
Keanu Reeves.
Of course.
Wow.
Alec and William Baldwin.
Oh.
Dean Cain.
Dean Cain, fucking hell.
Dean Cain from Lois and Superman. Lois and Clark.
Tom Hanks.
The friendliest I am the night.
Kurt Russell.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. Talking.
I'd say that.
Ralph Fiennes.
Now we're talking. I'm into it.
No.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
He could do anything.
Daniel Day-Lewis doing a Batman in a Joel Schumacher
anything.
film. Joel Schumacher Batman film.
Yeah, no chance.
I'd love to see him go method on that motherfucker. And Johnny Depp.
No.
No.
The less I see of Johnny Depp, the better, in my opinion. Johnny
Depp would have been a good bad guy at that time. But although he wasn't really into his character acting as much then, was he? He'd done a few, but not like it wasn't as big as what he does now.
And it was, I guess, in a way, it was a hard act to follow because the style of Tim Burton's Batman was a bit outrageous. It had Michael Keaton, who
he was good.
Job. But I think there was something mentioned in Val Kilmer's book that he released, and there was, I can't quote it because I forgot to put it in there. So sorry. He said something along the lines that he dressed up as Batman because somebody from the studio wanted to bring their grandkids in to come and see the set and Batman. And when they arrived, they completely walked past him and wanted to look at the outrageous sets in the background.
Wow.
Val Kilmer basically realised it doesn't matter who plays Batman, it's all about everything else. And I think it kind of matters with that as well, because when you think about it, Bruce Wayne in a lot of the movies is the main character until you have the action and the sort of Batman appears in the movie. But because he's just hidden behind the outfit that he's wearing, the Batman in most of those movies is pretty shit. Val Kilmer sucks as Batman.
He's got a good chin, though.
He has. George Clooney sucked as Batman.
He was the worst casting they've ever done.
Clooney sucks as Batman and as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
This is the thing. This is the problem you have with the Batman. Is you have to kind of you're playing two different roles.
Yes.
Do you know my favourite Bruce Wayne is? It's Ben Affleck. But he's not my favourite Batman.
No, I don't mind Val Kilmer as Bruce Wayne. I think there's a bit of darkness in there, and a bit of something behind him. But yeah, it's Batman. He suddenly turns into a bit of a Joker, like just not joke. You know what I mean? Like someone who's kind of taking the piss, and
he's got some one lines and
the thing is, Batman himself isn't much of a character.
No,
especially in the cinematic versions, anyway, because when he's
concept.
When he's in the bat suit, it's just. He's a delivery vehicle for punches. You know, that's all he is. That the way the films deal with him, as opposed to like the comic books or the cartoons,
where he's a detective in the comic books.
Yeah, the world's greatest detective.
Yeah,
and he's very brooding, and there's a lot of talk inside his head about what he's thinking.
So all of the character delivery for Batman needs to be done as Bruce Wayne when you do it in a film version.
Exactly, talking to Alfred or Robin or whoever you want to be talking to.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where your exposition comes from.
Yeah, so Val Kilmer did all right at that stuff, but he was fairly ineffectual himself as Batman. I think Christian Bale got a decent run of it, apart from the Bat voice.
Oh,
it's not a car.
It before, but when what's her name? Catwoman works out who he is, and then he sees her as Batman, and no one else is around, and he still does the voice
because he's in character.
Just cracks me up so much. It's just so unnecessary.
See, that is what. Right, I will give props to Zack Snyder for one thing, that he made sure that the Bat voice was because of
the vocoder.
Yeah,
that was addressed, wasn't it?
Which it is in the comics.
Which it wasn't him putting the voice on. So if in the Nolan films it had to be like something changing his voice via computers, fine. But like it wasn't. It was him just going
like singing along to a Cannibal Corpse song.
I'll say
it worse. Like in Batman Begins, his voice isn't that bad. It's in the Dark Knight.
It gets worse.
In
Batman Begins, he's whispering more than going. It's more whispering like I'm a shadow, rather than this isn't a car.
It's
where is she?
That's the one where he grabs it.
Where is she?
Where is she? Yeah. Oh God. But yeah, I'll say it on record. I think Ben Affleck's the best Bruce Wayne they've ever had. He's brilliant at it. He doesn't fit in his waistcoat
because he's got that smarmy kind of like
he smiles a lot. He smiles a lot.
He's got a good swagger about him. I've never minded Ben Affleck as Batman or as Bruce Wayne. To be honest,
I think I prefer Christian Bale just because he's got the Playboy swagger about him. Whereas, like,
playing in the fountain,
he's smarmy as well, isn't he?
Yeah. Whereas, I mean, what Affleck does like the older he's like middle aged kind of Batman, isn't he?
Stuff Batman. I'm done with this shit.
He's a bit more tight and sit. Whereas, like, I think Bale gets right. The turning up to clubs in a Lamborghini with the girls.
What about Christian Bale with his walking stick though?
Oh, that sucked.
Yeah, and then in the next scene, he's fit again.
I think age is an interesting one to bring up, actually, because to be true to the comics, I think Batman is usually meant to be about 33, isn't he?
He's the age of Jesus. That's the golden age in DC. It's Superman's 33, Batman's 33, and everyone same as when Jesus died, apparently. So.
I think it's probably it's difficult to find a 33-year-old with the actual physical presence to play Batman. I can't think of any actors. I mean,
me?
33 would, of course, obviously,
33.
present company excluded.
Well, you were 29.
Well, that's me official age.
That's me internet age.
I mean, it does help that for the Batman, Robert Pattinson's currently 35.
Robert Pattinson is potentially going to be the best.
I hope he is.
He's even got mascara on his eyes. Finally. Because that's what he does. He puts his war paint on, and then he goes to battle. No one's ever done that. They just rip the cowl off, and he's got no black around his eyes.
And that's why it's even weirder when, after Val Kilmer couldn't do Batman and Robin, George Clooney was offered the role. Which, just, the mind boggles how they got to that.
Schumacher thought it was really camp, Batman Forever. Shall we go camper?
Yeah.
Oh, you never
Look,
got
George
dinosaurs, the Ice Age.
Isn't the guy for that. He isn't the guy for that. And he stands out, as much as his bat nipples, but he stands out so much in that movie. But interestingly, not talking about him so much, but Ed Harris, Anthony Hopkins, and Patrick Stewart were all considered for the role of Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that?
Yeah, because Mr. Freeze is not a big bodybuilder.
I could have seen Ed Harris doing it. Like, that would have been good.
Yeah, it would have been.
I could have seen
Ed Harris would have sold that.
Patrick Stewart in a more serious film. Like, if it had been a more serious Batman film, he could have done it in the mid-90s. Because, Mr. Freeze is quite serious, isn't he?
Well, in for some reason in Batman and Robin, they made him a massive bodybuilder, which that's not what he was. Is it? He was a frail scientist trying to save his wife.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think at this point it's a bit pointless comparing the Joel Schumacher films back towards their comic book origins, because all he's done is just take names.
Way beyond that.
I mean, let's be fair.
At least he made Bane look like Bane.
Schumacher got Bane right.
Okay, we'll give him that. Out of two films and several $100 million spent,
he also made Robin nearly as old as Batman, which is just weird.
Yeah.
At that point, he'd have been Nightwing anyway.
Yeah, and cast Christian O'Donnell, which you just don't do.
No.
It's been established you don't cast Christian O'Donnell in things.
Has he done anything?
He's 30 years old.
So here's one for you. So going back to Candy's point, and Gadget just mentioned names. Here's a few names that got suggested on the internet who could have played Batman.
Okay.
So I'll quickly run through these. This is the final bit for me. Ryan Gosling apparently was heavily considered to play Batman at one point.
Yes, I remember that.
But he declined because he doesn't do films that have sequels, apart from Blade Runner. Taylor Kitsch.
Don't know what that is.
Nah.
He is in True Detective Season 2.
His name.
If you see his face, you'll know who he is.
What's his biggest movie role?
I'd have to look it up. Can't remember. Joseph Gordon-Levitt has also been suggested naturally to pick up the mantle as implied in the movie.
It's too small.
Should he be?
You should use your real name.
I think he'd be too small. Yeah.
Fucking annoyed me that.
You should
Josh
choose your real
Brolin.
name.
When he was a bit younger.
Who?
Yeah, younger Josh Brolin could
Brolin.
have.
Yeah.
He's got the
Brolin
chin
can do
for it.
anything. He has got
Yeah.
the chin.
Well, the next one is my choice. John Hamm from
Oh,
Mad
God,
Men.
yeah. Stunning.
Yeah,
I think he would have been excellent in that.
A bit of silver on the side of his hair for Bruce Wayne. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I'm all over that.
Matthew Good.
Yeah, up for that.
He can't do this, but Tom Hardy.
too short.
Yes, brother. He is too short.
And finally, an interesting one, Joe Manganiello.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Who
Deadshot.
was
Yeah.
Deadshot.
also
Deathstroke.
considered for Superman at one point, for Man of Steel.
He's Deathstroke, isn't
He's built as fuck, this guy.
Yeah. He's also,
We'll get back
True
to him.
Blood, for those
Yeah,
who
we'll
don't
get back to him.
know him.
We'll get back to him with my choice.
he also plays D&D. And has
Does
a huge
he?
D&D
Yes, he
cave.
does.
Yeah?
Yes, he does.
Mhm.
So he's
Yeah.
a
But he was
fucking
also
nerd.
considered to play Batman in one of the sequels, but he lost out to Affleck.
He's a huge nerd. I think he would just take on. Do you want to be like Nick Cage? It was like, do you want to be a comic book character?
Oh,
yeah, which one?
Ghost Rider.
This one? That'll do.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
wants to be in a comic book film.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's also got the physicality for it. Like, he could pull off the Batman without having the extended armor and rubberized stuff as well.
Yeah, people forget that Bruce Wayne is built like a brick shithouse. And no one clicked on, what have you been doing? That's a good regime you've got in the gym.
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you always tired during the day?
Yeah. Bags under your eyes, man. Come on, get some
Yeah,
sleep.
it's a hell of a black eye you've got there. Well,
Cracked ribs.
I wonder if you ever slipped into the Batman by mistake in the boardroom.
Yeah.
Where are the contracts? I mean,
there's one of the famous comics where Bruce Wayne is going in to sell assets of Wayne Tech, and he goes in and he forgets to take his cowl off. And he's got his suit on and he's got his cowl on. They're like, it's not Halloween yet. He's like, oh yeah, because no one believes it. 'Cause that's how tired he gets. Really good, excellent, good pick there. So Stig, what you got? Hello.
Hello. My first one is Topher Grace as Eddie Brock and slash Venom in Spider-Man 3.
Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can never buy him as Eddie Brock.
He can't because, right, to start off, Eddie Brock is a monster.
Yeah.
He's massive.
Inhuman
He's
monster.
Huge. Like, and this is where I was talking when I said, let's bring it back to Joe Manganiello. I can't ever pronounce his name either. He's massive. The problem was he'd already been in those Spider-Man films as Flash.
Yeah.
He played Flash. And it was like, if he hadn't played Flash, he'd have been a good Eddie Brock and Venom because he's got the stature for it.
And the accent, actually.
Yeah, but the problem is with Topher Grace is he's Eric Foreman.
He's always going to be Eric Foreman. No
always
Foreman
from the 70s show.
I've never seen it.
He's effectively the main character in it.
A little dweeby-looking kid.
Yeah, that's Topher Grace.
If you've ever watched the 70s show, you cannot see him as
I know what you mean with a little mushroom haircut.
Yep, that's exactly
Eric Foreman.
Oh my God, is that him?
Even now, I think he must be in his 40s.
He's in Predators, isn't he?
Serials roles. You just like...
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
He's in Predators as like...
You can't look past that. But this is kind of like meant to be his breakout role after that 70s show.
Well, this is what he left that 70s show for.
Yeah, getting cast in a big Marvel superhero film.
Well, you would leave a sitcom for that.
Yeah, the trilogy, like in the Spider-Man films. And do you know what? He doesn't even know why he got cast as Venom. He was told...
Maybe Sam Raimi fancied him.
He said, I was a huge fan of the character of Venom when I was a kid. When Todd McFarlane brought him into a comic, I was a huge fan of it. And I was surprised and a little bit like, huh? When they wanted me to play it. So when I look at it now, at the movie that's coming out, I go, that's the guy in terms of how I think the guy should be played and how they should play it. Like, even he doesn't understand why they did it. And there's a cynical part of me that thinks that Raimi did it on purpose. Because, famously, he doesn't like Venom. He never wanted Venom in the film. But the studio said Venom is very popular. He's one of the fans' like favorite Spider-Man bad guys. We want Venom in the film. He never wanted Venom in the film, and it just kind of. I feel like he just went. Do you know what? Then I'm going to put Venom in the film, and he's not going to be like any of you think he is. He's not going to be massive. He's not going to be a big bodybuilder jock. He's just going to be this little dweeby.
In there, didn't you?
I showed you that
in
picture.
And that's how I've always seen that character, and then you suddenly see this little skinny blonde guy, and he's like,
Eddie Brock has always been, since time immemorial, has always been. He was a football quarterback. He was a bully. He's always been a brick shit house.
Even in the comics, he looked like, whereas Spider-Man looked like
the panels.
Yeah. Whereas Spider-Man kind of like flitted around like a proper spindly spider, I always thought Venom was drawn like a big like tarantula kind of tank.
Yeah,
I agree.
He's basically like he's like the Hulk, isn't he? Like in
he's
Spider-Man
massive.
Form.
In the comics, he's gone up against the Hulk multiple times. Size-wise, he's about as high, as tall as the Hulk, and the symbiote doesn't make him much bigger than his normal height.
Just covers over him, doesn't it?
Yeah, because it covers around him. So you have to have that stature. Like, look at another symbiote, Carnage, with Cletus Cassidy. He's a spindly man, and that's why Carnage looks more like Spider-Man.
He would have been a better Carnage.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But it's not just that. It's just that Topher Grace doesn't play Eddie Brock right either.
No, he's not a bully.
He plays him as... He's a bit of a weasel. He's a bit like, Spider-Man, Peter Parker. And you're just like, fuck off. Like, I want to see this guy who's massive, who's imposing, and who when he gets the black suit of the Venom suit on him, he just looks, he looks scary. And
Eddie Brock originally as well, he wasn't very smart until the symbiote, and that's how Spider-Man found out that it was him, because he just got a lot smarter as a person. He was just a like I say, a big muscly bully. And he's like, how come you're really smart at the moment, Eddie? What's happening? And that's how he puts two and two together.
Yeah. And it just doesn't work. It's just, he ends up just being Spider-Man, but with pointy teeth. But with pointy teeth. There's nothing there.
Keep showing his face as well, don't they, just to remind you.
Yeah, there's nothing threatening about him. It's just like, why is Spider-Man troubled by this guy who's looks smaller than him, like, and we know Spider-Man with all his strength.
Too many baddies in that film as well. Sandman's in it, remember?
Yeah, Sandman's in it, and but the thing is, the Sandman story is the one that Raimi wanted to tell.
It's a sad story,
and
though.
he had to shoehorn Venom into it.
Yeah, Sandman's a good start. It's a good tale.
But the problem with this is, I can't figure out who to recast him as, because in the mid-2000s, your big hulking action heroes and actors weren't
really
around.
a thing, were they?
Yeah.
In the 90s, a lot of the action heroes were just kind of like, yes, they had muscle and they were lean and fast, but they were more like Matt Damon in the Bourne films and Daniel Craig starting in the James Bond films. That's the kind of size you got. You didn't get an Arnie or a Stallone or even like The Rock. Like back then, you wouldn't have even bothered. You wouldn't even thought about casting The Rock because he's Hollywood. That back then he was doing shite.
They would have been better off just hiring an NFL player to come in and give him a few acting
or a
lessons.
wrestler.
Or a wrestler. A wrestler would be really good. Mick Foley as Venom.
No, see the thing is, Venom and Brock, Eddie Brock should look like Brock Lesnar. That's the size.
That's the size. Yeah, absolutely. Big square head.
Brock Lesnar is Eddie Brock. That is basically him.
Yeah.
But maybe what they should have done is, if they wanted Topher Grace, fine. But when he turned into Venom, they should have just CGI'd him up.
Yeah.
Rather than keeping him. No, they should have just made him like, when he puts on the suit, it makes me
Hulk
massive or something. Yeah, something like that. Because I've been looking at actors from the mid-90s and I could not find anyone of the right age. The only person I could think of that was massive at the time, like massive in terms of body mass, was Gerard Butler, because he'd just come off 300 that same year.
That's a shout, though.
He's about 15 years too old.
Yeah.
I know Maguire was older than he's meant to be in those films, but Eddie Brock's only meant to be about 3 or 4 years older than Peter Parker.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
And I looked at the age and Gerard Butler's about 15 years older, and it might have shown.
It'd look weird with Gerard Butler being in a relationship with Gwen Stacy.
Yeah.
Well, they could have changed
like 22.
Well, they could have changed that up as well. Like they could have changed the ages of the characters up. There's no real issue with that.
They could have done an older Peter Parker. Yeah,
I just think I would have preferred someone who looked physically massive and dominating, like compared to spindly Eric Foreman. Like even someone like I know you might kind of scoff at this, but Vince Vaughn is massive. He's like 6'4".
Yeah, he's a monster, isn't he? Yeah, he is.
He's really big, and he would have been a bit younger during the 2006 when they filmed it. So just someone bigger, someone more imposing would have just fit that role so much better.
It shows you how big Vince Vaughn is in Dodgeball. For God's sake, he's way bigger than everyone else in Dodgeball.
Yeah, and at that time, Vince Vaughn's cachet is quite high because he's just had Dodgeball, and there was Old School just before that. He's kind of recovered from doing the remake of Psycho.
Which he didn't want to be typecasting.
I tell you what, I know that we're not talking about this, but his new film Freaky just came out, which is absolutely excellent.
Yeah,
and he in that it shows you how physical, like how
he was in that other one as well. Is that ex-con? I forgot what that was called. Last year,
Brawling Cellblock 50
something like that. Yeah, he was really massive in that as well.
He is he's a massive guy, and I don't think people actually realize how big he is. But just someone like that would have just better.
I agree with that.
And actually, I think when I think about it, Vince Vaughn, regardless of his age, he does kind of have the comic chops to kind of put down Spider-Man and put down Parker.
Yeah, he does.
I think he actually would have worked quite well.
He can also do a little bit unhinged quite well as well. Not
exactly.
Full psychopath, but just a little bit not right.
Yeah, so
I'm down
maybe
with
he would have worked.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's my first.
Brilliant. Right. 2013, what a year.
Uh-oh.
A film directed by Matthew Bright, no one's ever heard of, the director of Freeway and Freeway 2. Oh, and the Ted Bundy film as well. So, this film, starring Matthew McConaughey, that's how you say it, Kate Beckinsale, Patricia Arquette, and in a role of a lifetime, Gary Oldman. This film is called Tiptoes.
Oh, fuck off.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. I've not seen it, but I know exactly what you mean.
So what I'm going to do for the
oh my god,
for the guys here, I'm sending a link for them all to watch of the trailer for Tiptoes, and then we're going to come straight back to you all. You're going to fucking love this.
Edit through this.
Yeah, I've seen this trailer.
Watch that fucking trailer. Put your music on.
I've watched 20 seconds. I can't watch any more of that.
I just want to see your faces.
Karen's choose life together was perfect.
Oh my god.
Oh, she's giving him a
Candace's
blowy.
face.
The fuck?
For fuck's sake. Thinking like everyone in your family's a midget.
This is real.
Jesus.
What the fuck?
Yeah, people made this film.
So for every scene that Gary Oldman's in, he's got to be on his knees for this.
Yep.
This is just
With his legs tied behind his
insane.
back.
He was shuffling around on his knees. Oh, is that Peter
Yes.
Dinklage?
Yes.
Stop calling them midgets.
I know.
Role of a lifetime, Gary
Holy
Oldman.
shit.
I can tell you why that's not talked about more often.
Have you all finished
Watch the
it?
trailer again.
Have you all
Right.
finished it?
Do you know how
Yeah.
I'm looking at this?
Yeah.
Do you know Tropic Thunder?
Yeah, I was just thinking it's the Simple
You know,
Jack thing, isn't it?
Simple
Like,
Jack.
It's like one of those, isn't it?
That's what it feels like, and that's
Yeah.
what it looks like. Oldman, was going for. Oh,
Yep.
this will get me. This is Oscar bait. This will
Yep.
get me.
Right.
It's the American Dad thing. It's Oscar Gold, isn't it? Make the
Are we all
saddest
back in the
movie
room?
possible.
Oh,
We're all back in the room.
Yes.
That is incredible.
Right. So now you've all seen that trailer. How does this movie exist? So,
It's not even 20 years old. How does that movie?
So it was
exist?
2003. Sorry. So what unlikely series of events occurred in order to get this movie off the page and into reality? So we've got a pregnant Kate Beckinsale learns that her partner Matthew McConaughey's family is prone to dwarfism, and his dwarf twin brother is played by Gary Oldman. On his knees, with his legs pinned behind his back.
It's so bad.
Throughout the whole film. So Gary Oldman is an able-bodied 5'10" man. How was this allowed to happen? So this is a proper skeletons in the closet, but it's not even skeletons in the closet because this is Gary Oldman at his prime. So this is post Nil by Mouth, Dracula, Fifth Element, True Romance. Gary Oldman as a dwarf. Now,
It never gets less funny when you say it.
The film has Peter Dinklage in it. You already have an actor.
when
of that,
you said, how
Yeah.
do we recast them? I was literally going to say, Peter Dinklage is in this film as well.
yeah,
Being brilliant.
just
He
use Peter
should have
Dinklage.
been- he should have been the main character. Now, I had to watch this film at school.
What possible lesson did you get out of this in school?
Oh my! I don't know what it was. It was for drama. It was for like dramatic scenes and stuff like that. Now the whole trailer, for God's sake, spoils the whole film. The ending is spoiled in the trailer. Everything. It's just. I think it hasn't even got a Rotten Tomatoes score because it's one of those films that I believe the studios tried to delete from existence.
I'm not
I
surprised.
just had no idea.
Tiptoes
heard of
is
it.
basically, as Stig said off air, the scenes from Tropic Thunder. It's Oscar. It's Gary Oldman fancying himself an Oscar back when political correctness wasn't even a sentence.
It does have a Rotten Tomatoes score.
Does it? I thought it didn't.
No, it does.
Go on.
So,
It's got to be below 50.
okay,
Oh, yeah.
shall we do our standard? Let's take
Yeah.
bets, everybody.
Yeah.
I've already looked. Sorry.
40.
Oodle says
12.
40. Candy?
32.
Ooh, Candy's coming in closest. It's 20%.
No, biggies.
What big
Yeah.
you say? 12. Oh, 12. Yeah,
12.
sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, it shouldn't. I mean, it got 22 at
Oh,
the time.
maths.
They obviously haven't gone back to this film since the
It's
world
good.
became woke.
Yes, it's got an audience score of 22% out of 2,500 plus ratings.
The most fucked up thing is, you don't have to be woke to know that this is fucked up. This is a man
Do you know what?
who is 5'10" in a film that's surrounded by real dwarf actors on his fucking knees.
I mean, Stiggy mentioned it's like Tropic Thunder. It's like the trailers at the beginning of Tropic Thunder.
It's Simple
That
Jack.
would have slipped that in at the beginning of that movie as a trailer. Would have been
this
perfect.
is one of those films that if you mention this in Hollywood, you'd probably be shot. They want it forgotten.
It feels like it's a parody, but it
It's
clearly
not.
wasn't.
I've watched the
Yeah.
film multiple times.
How many people must have tripped over his trailing legs? I mean,
So do you know when
they must have gone? Oops, sorry.
When Interstellar came out and everyone's like, Matthew McConaughey can do no wrong. I'm there screaming, going, Tiptoes! Is it Tiptoes?
Oh, I mean, he did a lot wrong before he got his little. The reconnaissance.
Yeah,
like,
but
reconnaissance.
Gary Oldman, when Sirius Black in Harry Potter and stuff like that, everyone's like, oh god, Gary Oldman's so good. I'm like, Tiptoes! He's on his knees.
So, where can you see this movie? Is it available? Can you actually watch it?
Probably not.
I can't imagine it being on any streaming platform. I haven't seen it for years and years and years. But
I've never heard of it.
Always in my mind. It's one of those in-jokes that me and my friends have when we talk about bad films. Like, we always post this trailer to each other because we all watched it at school. It's fucking horrendous. It's wrong. It's bad even for the time. That's how bad it is.
Yeah,
it's never mentioned. I mean, not that they would talk about it, but it's just no one else talks about it.
I want everyone listening to this to watch the Tiptoes trailer.
Yeah,
it's that trailer in itself, man.
It's just
it's got so many good actors in it, and it's got such a bad message. There's a scene where loads of dwarfs are joking about the fact that they can all fit in the hot tub together and it's like an ocean to them. It's just bad. It's not funny. It's belittling. They say the wrong word for dwarfs all the way through it, which is there's even like jokes about, oh, I've never seen an African American dwarf. Is that a thing? And it's just disgusting. It's just a bad horrible film that I don't want people to forget because it should be thrown in Hollywood's face and remember this. Remember Tiptoes.
When they were filming it, they must have been cracking up every time Gary Oldman was in that position. You know, when that shutter went up and he's there.
Yeah.
I would have just lost it.
They probably did. That's what they probably did. They probably just looked at it and thought, this is really funny. And then when you look at it back now, you're just like, no.
It's not. It's before CGI was a really big thing. And they wouldn't have put in this kind of budget for a film. He literally does have his legs taped behind his oh god, it's so bad. He's on his knees. It's just so bad. I can't really talk anything more. But the fact that Peter Dinklage is in this, why is he not the main? Why is he? He's so infuriating.
Move on.
We're moving on from Tiptoes. Let's go back to Gadget. But please watch that trailer, everybody.
Oh, hey.
Follow that.
Fucking hell. Okay. I mean, I don't know how I can follow that one up because mine seems rather pedestrian by comparison. And
mine too.
Probably rather obvious. I am going to bring up it's a 1990 film, so I'm basically taking big swipes at the early 90s here today. But I want to talk about a Scotsman playing a Russian in The Hunt for Red October because Sean Connery should not play a Russian if he's not prepared to even attempt to neutralise his accent. And it's a thing that's been criticised of Sean Connery throughout his entire career whenever he played something that wasn't supposed to be Scottish. You know, everyone remembers Highlander. When he was playing...
Spaniard.
No, an Egyptian who was disguised as a Spaniard with a Scottish accent. But yeah, Hunt for Red October, based on the Tom Clancy... America Fuck Yeah masturbatory novel. That was The Hunt for Red October, released in 1984. Film was made in 1990. Well, released in 1990, rather. Stars Sean Connery as, what's the character's name? Marco Ramius, a Soviet submarine captain given the command of the Red October.
Born in Glasgow.
A new Typhoon-class nuclear missile submarine with a stealth caterpillar drive, rendering it undetectable to passive sonar. His opposite number in it is Alec Baldwin, who's playing Jack Ryan, because of course Tom Clancy, who believes that when the Red October goes missing, that Ramius is trying to defect to the US because it's a Cold War thing, and so goes hijinks.
On the hunt for it.
Yes, hijinks in the Atlantic under the sea. And the thing is, the film itself is really good.
It's good.
One of those.
I like it.
It's one of those few. The game was terrible.
The game is wank.
It's one of those few Tom Clancy stories that actually is a good ripping tale, rather than the likes of Rainbow Six, Clear and Present Danger, Sum of All Fears, which are just America Fuck Yeah kind of things.
You don't get political.
Another Affleck film.
You what?
Another Affleck film.
Yeah.
But
yeah, like I said, the film itself is fine. It's just Sean Connery. He's completely unbelievable as a Russian commander. All the actors on the Russian side of things around him, they're all American, but they all Australian or Canadian or whatever. They all put on half decent Russian accents.
Yeah, they do.
And
actually.
the ones, I think Sam Neill plays one of them, and he does a really good Russian accent.
I thought the whole idea was, though, that they start speaking Russian, don't they? And then it kind of goes... The camera kind of goes through a window or something, and then the idea is that we now hear them...
Translated.
Yeah, which is... that's a nice little directorial technique.
It takes you out of the thing, though. That's the problem.
Yes.
Yeah,
you can hear a Scotsman pretending to be Russian.
And also not just any Scotsman. Like, Sean Connery must have the most iconic Scottish accent, because it's not your typical Scottish accent, is it? It's something of his own.
He's always been bad at accents. Look at James Bond. He's supposed to be English.
Well, true, yeah.
Yes, Miss Moneypenny.
Irish in The Untouchables.
Yeah.
But what Sean Connery does bring to it, he brings a kind of sense of kind of stoic calmness and kind of gravitas to it. Like, that was what he was good at.
Oh, you'd want him to be a granddad.
Yeah, but the accent just doesn't work. It just takes me out of it every single time. It's a shame, because I really, really do like the film. It's one of those few Tom Clancy stories that I really, really enjoy.
I like it.
And I would say, like, I've been thinking about it. So, well, you've been talking about all your other choices. I would think possibly someone better who could have done the role, not quite the same age as him, a little bit younger at the time. But I would have said Robert De Niro would have done it really well. He's got that. He can do that stoicism. He can do that kind of calm sinisterness about him.
I'm thinking more Jean Reno.
Jean Reno could have done it, but again, he struggles with accents.
He really does. Yeah, that's true.
With his own, I think.
Well, I mean, if you've ever seen any films where he tries to pull away from the French accent and neutralise it a bit, it doesn't really work that well.
What about like Peter Stormare or someone like that?
Peter Stormare could have done it, but I think
he might have been too young. Isn't he?
Nah, he might have been a bit too young then. Plus, he plays more kind of a little bit unhinged better.
Yeah.
But he can do a good Russian accent, as you saw in Armageddon.
Yeah.
The other option, again, he might have been slightly too young for it, but you could have, bringing him up again, you could have brought Gary Oldman into it, because he was doing good films around that time.
He plays a dwarf really well.
I know, I just wanted to bring him up again.
Pick me up, I want to be looking through the periscope.
Oh, God. They won't have to pick him up, he'll just get off his knees. Get off your knees, old man.
Yeah, that's it. Pack it up, boys, we're done.
Yeah, I knew it'd be Biggie.
Yeah. But yeah, I could see, because the reason why I'm thinking kind of De Niro is, like, I'm thinking of the kind of, when he was doing stuff like Cape Fear.
I think De Niro would make a good general type.
Yeah, well, that's, I mean, he's
got that grimace, hasn't he?
Yeah, and the official rank of Marco Ramius is Captain First Rank, so he's like one of the top level guys.
I hope.
So yeah, I think De Niro probably would have been a better choice, and even if he didn't get a perfect Russian accent, it would have suited whatever he came out with would have suited it more than Scottish.
What about Pacino?
No,
got a great ass.
Yeah, that's the thing. Pacino can do accents, but he still always sounds like Pacino.
There's not many, is there, really?
Yeah. Fuck, I forgot that Tim Curry was in this as Dr. Petrov.
Yeah. You've got to have that bombast, haven't you, for that kind of role? And
yeah,
Connery does have it a bit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Connery's acting is fine. It's the accent that's the problem.
I think he's better in this than he is in Highlander, where he's playing an Egyptian.
Yeah, well, Highlander just doesn't work on so many levels.
Speaking of Connery, isn't he the king in Prince of Thieves at the end?
Yes, at the end. Yes. He's Richard the Lionheart.
The English king with a Scottish accent.
Yes, I'm the king. I'm back from the crusade.
Doesn't he come back and kiss Maid
Marian? Yeah.
Just
because if you were Sean Connery, you would.
Yeah, I would.
But there's again that Sean Connery just being like,
"Yes,
I'm going to be in this, but I'm not going to try and put an English accent on."
No.
Yeah, he's fucking crazy.
He was up for the role of Gandalf originally. Imagine that.
I fucking love that.
A wizard arrives precisely when he means to.
Just talk about dodged miscasting. Then,
I mean, the better cast for Gandalf would have been Christopher Lee, but he got a role. He got a role at least.
No, obviously it's got to be Christopher Walken.
Oh, fly, fools.
This watch.
He stuck
it up
that
my
ring
ass.
up his ass.
That's how he smuggled it up into Mordor.
This ring. It's the one ring.
And there's the socials clip. Yeah, so Sean Connery, just don't let him play Russians. Put Robert De Niro in instead.
Yeah, I mean, he's retired from acting now, Connery, hasn't he? So
No, he's died.
He's
Time ago.
dead.
oh, cut that
Oh, he's very much retired.
out. Genuinely, I forgot. No, cut that out.
He's retired from life.
No. Cut that.
Yeah, won't be seeing him
Cut
again.
that shit out. No. We've already had a problematic episode. Cut that out. Retired from life.
That's the
That's
title.
what I meant.
Yeah, just taking a break from
As
breathing.
soon as I said it, I was like, oh yeah, he has died. I remember being sad.
Oh, God.
Cut that out.
Not a chance. Not in your life. That was too funny.
Sabbatical from
This
the
is
living.
what happens when a podcast's sober. Forget about
No.
people that have died.
Not a chance. Are we cutting that out? That's so staying in.
Oh my god.
I'm
God
glad
rest
you
his
idiot.
soul.
Okay, I'm done. Move on to someone else.
Composure.
I was so fucking warm in here as well. That didn't help.
Oh, God.
God, I could have been there in like 5 years' time. God, Connery's still knocking about, isn't he, somewhere in Scotland?
Is he coming back for Indiana Jones?
Yeah, maybe you will. Fucking hell, Connery, he's fucking... And everyone's like, he died 10 years ago, you idiots. I did that other week about someone else. I can't remember who it was. I was just talking to someone, I'm like, I heard from them in ages, like, he's fucking dead. I can't keep up with it. Bloody hell. Anyway, let's move on to Candy.
Jesus, mine's going to be boring as fuck now.
Stop
So
being
my second
serious.
one... Yeah, I'm sorry. So my second one is Leo DiCaprio in The Beach.
Thought you were on the
yes.
Titanic.
Before
yeah.
in the Titanic.
I was-
So Leo plays Richard, which is the main character in the 2000 film The Beach. The Beach was originally a book by Alex Garland and adapted as a film by Danny Boyle. In the book, Richard is described as a young British man in his 20s who uses travel as a way to escape his own reality. He's not described as charismatic, outgoing, or handsome in any way. He feels the need to blend into and belong to the country he's in, but that doesn't extend as far as learning the language or the needs of the people. So he's kind of a bit of a reclusive, asshole, arrogant, certainly not handsome. His main focus in life is to smoke weed, play video games, and to see exciting things. And
What a
from
life.
that, I think we can...
Is that Biggie?
Yeah. It's all of us. So from that, we can sort of assume his physical description. So he's a bit pale, out of shape, and British. In pre-production of the film, the public and Ewan McGregor himself had assumed that he would get the role of Richard.
Yeah, 'cause him and Danny
after
Boyle
Leo
were
was,
Best mates, weren't they?
they were best mates. They'd been on, I think they'd already done 3 pretty phenomenal films
Yeah, especially
together at that
Trainspotting.
point. Trainspotting and
Shadowgrave.
Shadowgrave, that's the one I was thinking of, and I think another one, but the name escapes me. But anyway, after Leo was cast, the director and the actor had quite a public falling out, and it wasn't actually reconciled in 2009 for the second Trainspotting. T2. I think McGregor would have been a much more suitable actor for the film. Danny Boyle admitted, actually, that due to sort of his own arrogance, he cast Leo instead, as he felt his own films were so big, he needed a bigger actor to sell it.
Imagine
in the end,
saying Ewan McGregor's not a big actor.
I know,
What do you
right?
thinking that?
Leo was massive
this-
then, though.
Oh, God, yeah.
This was right off the back of Titanic. I think it was the first role he took
Let's
after
put him
Titanic.
on another
wasn't
boat.
it? They had a really bad boating accident as well, actually,
Yeah.
whilst they were filming it. There were almost some deaths.
Never get on a boat with Leo DiCaprio. Look at him in
No,
Wolf of Wall
not
Street.
a chance. That's right.
Never
yeah,
get on a boat with
absolutely.
him. Or a plane.
Well, he's doomed.
Any form of transport.
Yeah.
Anyway, the movie was released to sort of lukewarm critical reviews. I think a lot of that was down to the fact that he was so miscast, especially like the people that had read the book. as we mentioned, he did accept the role right off the back of Titanic, and he was just an absolutely huge teen heartthrob at the time. And I think he maybe didn't quite I'm not knocking Leo's acting in any way, shape, or form. I think he's an incredibly talented actor, but I think maybe at that point in his career, he didn't quite have the skill to pull off some of the more challenging scenes, particularly when he's hallucinating and sort of descending into a bit of madness. It was kind of played more as an MTV teen movie, especially where it becomes a bit of a video game.
Yeah.
Some of his lines are pretty cheesy as well, and although the script isn't his fault, he did very little to mitigate the issue.
It had a banging soundtrack by All Saints.
That's and Moby.
Yeah, and Moby. Yeah.
That's what it's remembered for.
That's the first thing when you mentioned the beach. I just had All Saints just played in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Waters.
Yeah.
Chill.
So to replace him, and I'm having to use current actors as they are now to go back and play.
I know who could have replaced him
role.
perfectly, and you'll all agree as well. I'll let you go first.
So
though.
we'll see if this matches up. So I would go either Andrew Garfield or Freddie Highmore, and because they both have that kind of British gap year sort of look, or even maybe
Students.
Gap year.
Gap year with my friends.
Gap year.
Yeah.
We're talking Stiggy language now.
Yeah. Let's go to MAGA.
Maybe even Taron Egerton.
So we can start
He might
singing.
have,
Sings and everything.
He'd
doesn't
been too young then.
Yeah, she said that.
this is what I mean.
I was
actors.
going to say, because
My
I just had to Google Freddie Highmore because I didn't recognise him. He was born in 1992. He was 8 when that film came out.
Perfect.
Yeah, so that's why I mean it would be actors as they are now, having to go back and kind of place them into that
The perfect
time.
casting
So I've cheated.
for the lead would have been Johnny Lee Miller, I think.
Yeah, he could have done that. He would have been about the right age as well.
Perfect for it.
Bez from Happy Mondays.
Well, actually being able to read at that point in his life.
Well, yeah.
Come on. Yeah, Ewan McGregor, that's what it was built for.
He would have been perfect.
Yeah, absolutely perfect.
Yeah, but at the time, Ewan McGregor was also strutting around with all that Star Wars money in his pocket. Would have been too expensive for the beach.
I don't think it was Star Wars after the beat. Oh, no, was it?
No, it was 1999 for The Phantom Menace.
Hello there. Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine Leo would have been cheap.
No, Leo was certainly not cheap. Maybe Leo were like, oh, I fancy an Oscar too, because he's always fancied an Oscar, hasn't he? And that could have potentially been an Oscar.
The thing is, though, Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, Titanic was such a huge smash, but that was his big break. He still wasn't commanding huge stuff around then because he was still being established.
Yeah, for me, when I first started noticing Leo big style after Titanic, I was like, well, like Shutter Island and Inception, and now he's just fucking.
No, I was a bit earlier around Catch Me When You Can.
Catch Me When You Can, yeah, good shout.
That's about 2003, that I think.
Good choice. So we will move on to Biggie.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about. Got a bit of a Batman link for me this evening. We've got
Someone's been
Christian
reading comics.
Bale. It's Christian Bale, but not as Batman. I want to discuss him in Terminator Salvation.
No. Me and you are done professionally, mate.
Oh, go for no.
Oh, la-di-da. Da-da-da-da.
I just think that the setup that we've had Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 it seems like such a strange choice to cast Christian Bale in the third movie. The fourth movie. I just don't see
It'll get
a
worse.
link there. What, sorry?
The John Connors get worse after that.
Yeah, they do.
Yes, they do. You're absolutely right. But I just felt like he was just... He's a great actor, you know, don't get me wrong. I like a lot of stuff he's been in. I just think his performance as John Connor just doesn't quite fit with the rest of the movie. It's almost like he's acting in a completely different movie to the rest of what he's in. Apparently he was involved in a lot of the editing,
shouting.
put a lot of pressure, shouting, put a lot of pressure on the director. And it's just a really short one for me. It's really hard to explain. A lot of people don't like the movie. I kind of like it.
Really?
The stuff I like in that movie.
It's not as bad as everyone says it is. I mean, it's not great.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as Genesis,
No.
but not much is.
No.
The thing is, I'm surprised you're bringing up Christian Bale for this when this film has Sam Worthington in it. the vacuum of charisma that is Sam. The vacuum of charisma that is Sam Worthington.
Do you not like the meme where it says Sam Worthington and everyone goes, who?
But at least he's playing basically a cyborg hybrid, whatever the hell he was.
Spoiler alert.
But yeah, I just think Christian Bale just didn't fit in this movie.
He could have been in the movie, but not John Connor. It could have just been a general somewhere, just a random.
I think he saw this as a cash cow kind of. This is going to be
new franchise.
This is it was meant to be a trilogy. I'm the main man. I'm the main guy. Like, you know, I could see why take on that role, but yeah, obviously it failed. That's what happens when you get a guy called McG to direct your massive franchise film.
The guy that did Charlie's Angels.
And music videos.
But yeah, it's just wasn't for me. I mean, I liked Christian Bale in. I forgot what it was.
American Psycho.
Equilibrium.
Oh yeah, which one?
Equilibrium. He's great in Equilibrium.
But you know what? That's a really
film.
cool film. I love that movie,
Brilliant.
and it shows you that you can do action, you can do drama, you can do everything that you need before this is all pre-Batman as well. But yeah, when he was in Terminator, I don't know, it's just something didn't click for me. I never saw him as John Connor in that.
Same. And I can't even put my finger on why I didn't like it. I just didn't.
Yeah.
Really hard to explain. It just doesn't fit. And I've now put myself in a position where I realised I hadn't thought who could have played it.
I don't know, because I mean,
if you say Sam Worthington, I'll come down the camera and I'll beat you.
Edward Furlong.
I mean,
because also this is the point I forgot to mention as well, that I think when you had Terminator 1 and 2, 3 John Connors played as a younger kid. So at this point, it's supposed to be him in the war years, and you're supposed to see this like commanding
Still in his like 30s,
officer.
40s at that point.
But yeah, it just didn't pull that off at all. But I've suddenly realised I hadn't.
no one will ever look as badass as the guy in Terminator 2. In that flash forward, flashback.
Yeah, that random guy.
No one will ever look as good as that
face.
random guy in Terminator 2. I mean,
it should have been him.
Yeah,
he should have been brought back.
He might not have been able to act.
I mean, as bad as Christian Bale is, Jason Clarke was worse.
Yeah,
Way
worse.
The dad from next door. Do you know what I mean?
The thing is, I mean, Terminator 3 was what, 2003, and Salvation was 2009, 2010. You could have probably had Nick Stahl just reprise the role, because it would have been far enough down the line.
But Nick Stahl didn't do much after that, did he?
No,
Don't tell me he died and all, for fuck's sake.
No, he is still alive. He's in Fear of the Walking Dead now, Nick Stahl.
Is he?
Yeah.
It's nice to see him still getting work.
Yeah, he's doing all right.
Good for Nick.
Yeah, it's just a quick one for me. It just rubbed me up the wrong way for some reason.
That's fine, mate. I'm the same. I remember going in to see it and thinking, okay, this film, and it's got Sam, whatever his surname is, everyone forgets him.
The beige wallpaper of a human being.
Yeah, him from that Fern Gully remake with the blue guys.
Avatar.
That's the one. I'm joking, I know what it was. I always thought Christian Bale, I don't know. There was just something off about it. I agree with you, mate.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Stig, what's yours?
Mine is Emma Watson as Belle.
Yeah,
Beauty and the
fully
Beast.
agree.
Beauty and the Beast remake.
I've not seen it, but I've heard really bad things.
I'll freely admit that Beauty and the Beast is one of my favourite Disney films of all time. I absolutely love that film.
Banger.
And I think that some of the other casting they got right in that film. Gaston, LeFou, her dad, even the Beast. Even though I don't like the CGI they did on the Beast, but Emma Watson
They had to do a CGI, surely.
Yeah, they did, but they made him look too human. It's weird. Anyway, but Emma Watson, she's not Belle. She's just not. She just doesn't have the right, like.
Did she just look like Hermione?
Well, because that's how Emma Watson looks.
That's what I'm saying. But did you just feel like it's French Hermione?
No, it wasn't actually. She had no charm to her. She had no vivaciousness or anything. Like Belle in the cartoon is. She's a bit of a
badass, isn't she?
She is. She's very clever. She's very charming. She's very witty. Even the moments where she's kind of scared and being meek, like when she's first in the castle and stuff like that, there is still this kind of energy that you're drawn to with her. Whereas Belle in the Emma Watson version, she's just dull.
Dull.
Like there's
the same
nothing to
songs
her.
in it.
Yeah, so
a couple of songs.
So the
Does she
songs,
sing?
so she does sing, but
And she
she's
can't sing.
auto-tuned to like
so
the
much.
nth degree. Like everything, like straight away, the first song is just like
Because it's
you
got
just-
Luke Evans is in it, hasn't it? And
Luke Evans
can
is
sing.
fucking brilliant as Gaston.
He can sing, can't he?
Perfect.
He's so good as Gaston, and I think Josh Gad is great as LeFou as well. I think them
Another
two
good singer.
are really good, well cast. But yeah, it's just Emma Watson.
Who plays the Beast?
Dan Stevens.
Yeah, from the Marvel thing.
Eurovision.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's Emma Watson. She comes as too serious, a bit too callous. There's a lack of emotion there throughout the film, and she's just lifeless and uninterested. Like she's just,
Shame.
it's just when they started doing all these, like, oh, we're going to make these Disney films and we're going to make like live action ones, and it's like, oh, we're going to do Lion King and Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast. I'm actually quite interested in that. Oh, this is a new take on these classics, and we don't need them, but they just picked the wrong person to be Belle. I don't know who I would pick. All I can go off is my wife's pick at the time. She said it should have been Deanna Agron. So she plays Finn. Sorry, she doesn't play Finn. She plays Quinn in Glee.
I never watched.
Never watched Glee.
No
Kate
idea.
watched Glee, but from all accounts, she's a good actor.
And they can all sing on Glee.
She's a brilliant singer.
No, they
She's
can't.
got-
It's all auto-tune on there as well.
She's good at singing. I've heard her singing.
Right.
She's a lot better singer than Emma Watson. That's for fucking true anyway. But
The
yeah,
cat's a better singer than
she
Emma
is a very
Watson.
good singer, and she's got the look. She's got the ability, and if they would have been casting that and filming that right off the back of Glee, so it would have been like a perfect like
Lined
vehicle
up. Yeah.
to jump off that program and then go into like major studio films. But obviously Disney aren't going to do that. They're going to like, oh, who can we get? Emma Watson. She's massive because of Harry Potter. Yeah, let's do that.
That's a shame. I always thought they were.
I like
all
Emma
these
Watson. I've got no
remakes.
problem with her. I don't think she's a great actress, and there's a bit of feedback about her later as well. But yeah, she wasn't Belle at all for me.
She does a lot of eyebrow acting, doesn't she, old Emma Watson?
Yeah.
That's a skill and a half. Excellent. Good pick. My last one is a miscast that paid off. Are we allowing that? Because I'm going to say it anyway. This
Fair
paid
enough.
off. 1994, Frank Darabont, Shawshank Redemption. Now, in the story, Red, he's a white, red-headed Irishman. Who's he played by in the film? Morgan Freeman. Now, for me, it's one of his defining roles. It miscast, but perfectly miscast. Do you know what I mean? I think he's the standout performer in Shawshank Redemption, the man who can get you anything that you need. Even as a joke in it, why do they call you Red? He's like, I don't know, maybe I'm Irish. Do you know what I mean? Which is a play to the actual story, and it's a quick one, like you guys. But I just think it's when miscasting can go right. I know it's not really miscast because it's perfectly cast in the end, but from the source material, it's completely different and just outside of the box, and it just works perfectly. Could you imagine anyone else doing that role now after seeing Shawshank Redemption, which is nigh on a perfect film to some people? It's up there for me. I think it's brilliant. But yeah, I just think it's a really good miscasting, which I just thought I'd flip the switch a little bit for my last one. And
Rebel.
I am a bloody rebel. I mean, I could not top Tiptoes. I just nothing beats Gary Oldman on his knees.
All right.
Hey, chance would be a fine thing. But yeah, I think Morgan Freeman as Red is a perfect miscast. And now, what do our listeners think?
Well, listeners have opinions.
I bet they do.
Sent them by the bucket load. But before we get to this week's opinions, we're going to get one from last week that Stig forgot to add to the document in his hungover state. This is from Newton Thomas. And he said, for last week's subject, not meaning to be ironic, but Jaws the Revenge was probably my first realization of this. Even though in hindsight, Jaws 3D had probably already done it, but I was far too young and awestruck by the 3D to have noticed. I clearly remember watching Revenge and thinking, hang on, the shark is now specifically hunting down members of this one particular family. So much so that it travels from Amity to the Bahamas just so that it can eat the mum. What the fuck? Literally the shark jumping the shark.
Yeah.
He also goes on to say, and don't get me started on how they kill the shark in this one. Michael Caine, runs it over with a sailboat. Even my innocent and impressionable prepubescent mind, I remember clearly thinking, well, they've gone a bit far this time, haven't they?
Yeah.
I mean, Jaws the Revenge is universally agreed as one of the worst films ever made. And isn't the story that goes that Michael Caine only took the job because he opened the script and it said location Bahamas?
Yeah, because it was a freeholder to the Bahamas for a nice little bit of cash.
I remember in some interviews he said stuff like, "Oh, I just wanted an holiday." Why wouldn't you?
For this week's episode, Newton Thomas has gone on to say, Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I kind of get what they were going for with the entitled tech genius, but it didn't work at all. It needed someone that commanded both intellect and menace. For my money, Ralph Fiennes would have been perfect. Also, give us a bloody green mech suit. I mean, I'm not going to disagree. I like Jesse Eisenberg. He's a great actor. He's done a lot of good things, but he's so wrong as Lex Luthor.
Yeah, it was nearly. Yes. I nearly went with him, like for this one. But yeah, it's just in my mind as well. I think Lex should be. Maybe he's not, but in my mind, I always think Lex should be older than Superman. He should. Yeah, he should be wiser and a bit more.
He should always be older.
Yeah. Not more.
He should also have that quiet menace about him.
Yeah,
he's a criminal mastermind.
Yeah,
I'd say.
Like Jesse Eisenberg's one, he's like insane, isn't he? He's like very pantomime and very over the top. Like he'd be a better Joker than anything, in that universe.
Yeah.
Speaking of, Leroy Francisco has said Jared Leto is the Joker. Almost everything in that film, he's referring to Suicide Squad, was terrible, but Leto's Joker was awful. Not just the performance, but the whole concept of the character in that movie. Plus, he was meant to have been a proper wanker on set, sending dead rats to cast members, etc.
Yeah.
Because he goes like full method, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Just occupies the role. Yeah, Jared Leto's Joker was dreadful.
Yep.
Even in that little cameo at the end of Justice League. Fucking awful.
Ooh, Justice League.
You want to go and watch it again now, don't you? Because we brought it up 3 times. X Radio X said, Vinnie Jones is the Juggernaut in X-Men Last Stand.
Yes.
God.
Oh, God, yeah.
Does anyone want to do the line? There we go. I like Vinnie Jones. Nothing about that casting makes any sense unless you wanted it to be a joke. He pretty much needs to be CGI or cast the mountain from Game of Thrones to get close.
Well, he's played by Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool too, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. That's how it's meant to be done. Like again, if you're not going to CGI him, you just get a big. You don't even need to have him like. It doesn't have to be a character. Just have someone who's massive and put a suit and a helmet on.
A 10-foot man.
They made that. It's like they made that part just so he could do the "I'm the Juggernaut" bitch line.
Anytime I've seen The Last Stand, I always get a real kick out of him just being in that kind of rubber muscle suit.
The fact that they don't reference that he's Charles Xavier's brother at all just baffles me.
I mean, they didn't even in the cartoon or anything like that. I think they gloss over that one.
God, I hate being a nerd sometimes.
I think they did in the cartoon.
They did in the cartoon, they did.
Sarah Johnstone has said Florence Pugh as young Amy in Little Women. She was perfect as adult Amy, but she just couldn't convince as a 12-year-old. Took me right out of the movie.
I agree. This is where I got mixed up. I was thinking, when I said, we'll come back to Emma Watson.
You're thinking Florence Pugh.
It's this
she's good. She's up and coming as well. She's good in that wrestling film.
The problem.
Oh, she's brilliant in that.
The problem with this is,
she's excellent.
in Little Women, is that she's playing a 12-year-old, and it's Florence Pugh, and all she's doing, she's her just acting immature. And I was like, when I was watching this, I was like, these are flashbacks. I know that, and I was like, and she's acting like a child, but it just came across as that she was a bit simple, and it was like, why have you not just cast a 12-year-old? And then when we get the adult version, it's Florence Pugh.
I mean, I'm not being funny. There is literally about 12 billion 12-year-olds running around the world.
It's a really
at any given point.
It's a great film. Like, it's a really good film, and
I liked it.
they're all really good in it, but this is where I was talking about Emma Watson as she's the weakest link in that. She's not great. Like, her acting in that's not great either. But yeah, the whole bit of Florence Pugh going out after them as a 12-year-old girl and then falling in the lake and everything, it's like, this is just, it's a bit dumb. Like, just cast a 12-year-old. So.
Yeah, there's loads.
Dominic Skelton has said, Dane DeHaan in, well, pretty much anything. There seemed to be a weird spell when casting people thought he was the next Leo DiCaprio. It fucking ruined a few films. Particular shout-outs to A Cure for Wellness, which I'll disagree with. I like Dane DeHaan in that. I like that film in general.
Is he the guy that played Goblin?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, so.
And of course, Valerian in Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, which somehow managed to miscast all three leads.
I think you'd agree with that, wouldn't you, Gadget?
Yeah.
Every time they put Cara Delevingne in anything, it's miscast.
Yeah, I was going to bring up Cara Delevingne, but again, that's really low-hanging fruit.
Why have you put her in it? She's fit. That's not a good enough reason.
Although I will concede, of all the films that she's been in that I thought she was miscast in Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, she kind of looks like the character she's supposed to be playing.
She does, yeah.
She just can't act like her. David Cheeseman said, very general, but the whole of The Irishman. I get what I like what they were going for, and I always welcome new technology that will help with performance, but having old guys play young just didn't work for me, as they still move like slow, old, arthritic old men. And it just never married up. And you get an actress in Anna Paquin who has as many Oscars as Al and Joe, and give her 6 words. She was done dirty. Yeah, like The Irishman. Yeah. I think that all that money was spent, all that technology was used just to have the poster up that Martin Scorsese was working with those 3 actors again.
I like the film, but the CGI puts you out of it because it's the cheeks and the face that they just get wrong. You know, it sounds weird that they look like they've all had Botox.
Yeah,
it's still that uncanny valley stuff. It's still the technology's still not quite there.
You could have just had younger actors. It worked for Godfather Part 2.
Yeah, exactly.
When it goes back in time and stuff, like it worked then. It was fine. But yeah, it's just like seeing Robert De Niro like trying to act as a 30-year-old in a fight, and then
we've seen a 30-year-old Robert De Niro. It didn't look like that.
Yeah,
yeah. Björk Pruschmeier has come in saying almost everyone in The Legend of Aang, not only because of the blatant racism.
Yeah,
he points out that every character is either indigenous or East Asian in the series, but in the film, all the good ones were white and all the bad ones were South Asian. But also because Nicola Peltz, Jackson Rathbone, and Noah Ring are absolutely terrible actors who can't hold a scene. Peltz got the role because her dad is a rich, important businessman with connections. Everything about that film is an insult to both fans and the people who aren't familiar with the source material, and a big part of it is the casting.
Great.
I remember hearing a lot of bad stuff about Legend of Aang. I've never seen it.
No, it's fucking shit.
Quote for the box.
Yeah. Kate of the Dead, who is I will typify is my mum. And I pointed out that we were doing this episode about 2 minutes before we were start recording this, and she sent me like 30 messages of her picks, but I've picked out a few of them at the top.
God love her.
So she's pointed out Brad Pitt in Ad Astra.
Oh yeah, 100%. Oh, yeah. Fucking hell, he is shocking in that.
Also Brad Pitt in Meet Joe Black.
Also Brad Pitt in Interview with the Vampire.
And Keanu Reeves in Much Ado About Nothing.
Oh yeah. Forgot about that.
Keanu trying to do English like roles just doesn't work.
My dearest Mina.
Or American.
You leave Keanu alone.
Ray has popped in. We always like it when Ray is messaging. He says, when Stephen Strange arrived at the foot of Mount Himalaya, he was expecting to be greeted by the Ancient One, a tall, skinny, elderly monk with long goatees, as depicted in the Doctor Strange comic. But instead he met Tilda Swinton. Usually righteous Hollywood medias would gather like sharks smelling blood, ripping the casting choice apart. However, the storm, quote-unquote, was bafflingly mild and gentle. Reports dancing around the topic, shyly suggesting various explanations on how it happened. The truth seems to be the Sorcerer Supreme ran into a greater power. The fear of triggering Chinese censorship machine, who viciously trying to eliminate any attention towards Tibet, along with some other places, for a series of reasons result in the miscast. Yeah. What I find funny about the incident is that anyone who tries to bring up the full story, he will learn dig up the full story rather. He will learn so much about geopolitics, regional history, and how to mince words. Turns out even there is no sorcery, horrifying, forbidden knowledge can still be found in the Himalayas.
Absolutely.
I always thought it was weird that it was Tilda Swinton.
Yeah,
I
mean, I like her. I like her in the role. She's very good at it.
Yeah, but that's just not what that character is.
No.
She
I think the director recently came out and admitted that it was probably a bit miscast, didn't they?
She's
I think I read something about that recently.
A bit whitewashing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. She could have been somebody else. But...
Speaking of which,
Smashiest Clay has come in, and this was one I was tempted to bring up, but I'd only seen bits of the film on YouTube. I hadn't actually seen the full film, although watching bits of the film on YouTube is still just as hilarious. So he says, someone else will probably bring this up, but we have to talk about the most amazingly tone-deaf and bewildering casting choice of the 1950s, the Genghis Khan biopic, The Conqueror. Genghis Khan, a legendary military commander that conquered a giant empire across swathes of Asia. The story of his life is barely believable, and he was the perfect fodder for an epic film. Unfortunately, one of the largest stars of the day thought so too, and he lobbied heavily to get the part. And so the 12th century Mongol chieftain was played by John Wayne.
Fucking ridiculous.
God.
John Wayne, a white guy from Iowa with all the acting range of a potato, was somehow supposed to portray this historical figure. Their solution? Fake tan and an awful wispy mustache.
Yep.
Wayne makes zero attempts to modify his Midwestern drawl to the cowboy mannerisms.
Genghis Khan.
What results is so utterly nonsensical and ludicrous that it actually becomes quite compelling viewing. Seriously, look some clips up on YouTube.
I've watched the film, mate.
Bad.
Fucking hell.
He looks like Ming the Merciless.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
And at least Ming the Merciless is not from Earth.
Yeah.
Of course, John Wayne isn't the only actor who struggles with disguising his strong regional accent. Some actors have made careers off that distinctive delivery, but it does often lead to them being typecast. Luckily, Sean Connery couldn't give a fuck. Strong Scottish accent, probably the most distinctive and parodied voice in film. Fuck it, I'm playing a Russian submarine commander. The Hunt for Red October is a really good film, as I said, which makes the casting and performance of Connery all the stranger. Of course, there are some roles that will perfectly suit Connery, like a film called Highlander, about an immortal Scottish warrior getting into sword fights. Naturally, they went straight to Connery and cast him as an ancient Egyptian dressed as a Spaniard.
Yeah.
Not only did they ask Connery to be Egyptian, they then cast a Frenchman who grew up in Switzerland as the titular Scotsman. Christopher Lambert was still learning English when he was cast. His delivery and accent was so bad the early section of the film had to be dubbed over, and they hand-waved away the second half of the film by saying he talked funny. Thank you for that, Smashiest.
Yeah.
I still like Highlander.
I love it.
I like the soundtrack a lot.
Mm.
It always baffled me they made a second one because I thought the whole thing was there could only be one.
The quickening.
Yes, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, but the second one is ridiculous, and it starts talking about
They quickly got a sequel.
aliens.
And remember, there was a TV show.
There was.
I love the TV show.
It's time for the inglorious return of Deadbeat Punk. He's coming with greatest, finest moments of assurancy. I'll be brief with my miscast. It's a show that you've mentioned before. The thick of it.
It will be brief. Actually,
Actually, for him, this is surprisingly brief. Yeah, the thick of it. Normally, all characters seem to be written around their acting party as they fill their roles perfectly. Rebecca Front and Peter Capaldi might as well change their names legally over to their fictional counterparts just to save the confusion. This is why Cal Richards, or the fucker, sticks out so much. Tom Hollander was brilliantly cast as Simon Foster in the excellent spin-off movie In the Loop, but his appearance in the series is jarring and ill-fitting. I keep forgetting about the character until he reappears during the finale of the third series. Built up by other characters with hushed voices and the kind of reactions we associate with Malcolm Tucker, it feels like we're going to be introduced to his counterpart, a political clash of titans possibly. Instead, we're introduced to what feels like a prepubescent impression of Brian Blessed trying to be hard. Especially cringeworthy is the crescendo of an incredibly weak outburst that concludes with him aiming his finger guns at members of the cast squawking, "Fuck, fuck, fuck," as he mimics shooting at them. I always forget he's in the show until he pops up on a rewatch. Utterly out of his depth in this role that could have been a majestic pantomime performance in grander hands. Brian Blessed should have been in the show instead. He also goes on to say, I hope it doesn't come home. You still haven't apologised for the famine. Lots of love, Deadbeat Punk.
Fuck you.
Ouch.
I'll completely agree. Tom Hollander is really good, but he's just not good at that. It's so miscast.
I need to watch that show.
Really so good. It's so good. But yeah, that's all the correspondence that we have this week.
Excellent, excellent. And now we have the all-new socials.
That's me. So you can find us on Twitter at modernescapism. On there, you'll find a link to all our episodes, socials, and you can join us for a chat on Discord. We're all in there and we all interact frequently. If you have any comments, you can either tweet us or email us at modernescapismpod@gmail.com. If you like gaming streams, come and watch us at twitch.tv/modernescapism. On Saturday, Oodles is playing Fable.
Yes.
Monday, we have Biggie Dies. And he's dying more and more each week, I noticed. Sorry. Wednesday, Gadget has a couple of weeks off, I think, the Skyver. So maybe we'll try and fill it with something
I've edited
fun.
7 podcasts this month.
Oh. You have, I do apologise for that. I wanted to put the words back in my mouth as they came out.
It's all right, I've edited
So he's not a Skyver, he's...
Yeah.
You're very good too. You all work very hard. So maybe we can try and fill it with something fun. Maybe we can do a multiplayer stream or maybe something with the patrons. Thursday, I do my Candy's Creature feature. I'm possibly finishing Hellblade. I'm not 100% sure yet. So we're playing Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice. I'm going to mention our Patreon again, just because you do get so much extra content. You'll probably get a few good outtakes from this episode, I would imagine. So you got patreon.com/modernescapism. You got £5 for the Modern Escapees, £5 for Scorched Sheep, or £7.50 for the whole lot, which is the Biggie Bundle, and it gets you everything. So you got all kinds of specials. You've got monthly specials, and we've currently got our Loki spoiler special going on every Friday. Next week, we've got the video games knockout. We're all going to choose our favourite games and battle them for the title of Ultimate Game. And as we always say, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We really, really appreciate it. It does make all the difference to us. So please do if you have a minute.
Thank you. Really well done there. Out of 10, what would you give her there, Stig? Oh, here we go.
No, she's done a cracking job. That's why I heard it last week and I was just like, I'm just going to pass on the socials to Candy.
Let her do it. Delegation.
Absolutely natural at it.
Brilliant.
9 Sean Connerys for that.
Oh, thank you very much.
And that is all you're getting if you are one of the cheap listeners that doesn't pay for our Patreon. And we will see you.
Really knows how to sell it.
We will see you next week for our massive summer game battle where we all pick our games, which the patrons will hear round the back after this. So, thank you and Godspeed.
What we've been doing, watching the football and getting fucking wrecked.